Beginnings of the thing here. I gotta. Yeah, there we go. All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1.
It still burns after all this time.
Good afternoon and welcome to Core. This is Core for Thursday. What is it? July 21st, 2022. I'm Scott Johnson with Bo Schwartz and John Jagger, talking video games, the happenings and goings-on within this industry we love so much, and also a bunch of games we played and some other stuff. Also, for those of you who've been waiting all week to hear what Scott thinks of his Steam Deck, you'll find out today. Not yet, but later in the show. So that's all coming up. Stick around. Let's go. Do you guys know John Romero's making a new first-person shooter?
I saw the article, but I didn't read it.
Well, that's good, I guess. Whatever.
Well, it wasn't like, oh my god, I have to read this now. It's like
after he and Id made Doom, and then Doom 2, and then Quake and Quake 2,
and then Daikatana.
Daikatana was next, and so since then we haven't had a shooter from John Romero, and Daikatana was bad. It was a bad video game.
Although he does crop up every now and then to make new levels for Doom.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever hear about that? Like every now and then it'd be like, hey, John Romero decided to make a new Doom level. Like I think he actually made several. Like he almost made like his own little mini campaign.
Yeah, he made I think even recently he was still doing that. And he's made other games in the recent years. His little company made Empire of Sin last year or 2 years ago, which is this like kind of, I don't know, XCOM meets 1930s liquor distribution simulator. It's all during the not the Depression. What's it called? Where no one could drink. The Prohibition. Jeez, all during Prohibition. So it's like this like mobster. Hey, see, we got a warehouse full of liquor. See, yeah, like that kind of stuff. And it was okay. It was all right. Game. I think it leaned in like the turn-based XCOM part of it was actually pretty good, and I think that should have been the core of the game because the management stuff just was like unwieldy. It was like, oh my gosh, I gotta figure out why Vinny's late with a truck full of beer and this guy over here can't get. I don't know. It's just something about it was a little bit too much. But he's been doing other things. But now Romero Games is hiring for an all-new FPS. Here's what they say: it's the new dawn from Romero Games. We're working with a major publisher to develop John Romero's next shooter, an all-new FPS with the original new IP. Our team is expanding, and we're looking for talented people for all positions and at all experience levels. In particular, those with Unreal Engine 5 experience.
Oh, shit. All experience levels?
Yeah.
So zero experience levels can get in?
Oh, you're in.
Get
you want to
in
go?
there, Bo.
Yeah. Why not?
That really opens things up, man.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, John, I read a book.
Yeah. All experience levels. Actually, I don't know. My daughter, for some reason, my daughter's always on the lookout after she graduated for a games job. And she's going to go to Iceland for a couple of months for a gig that I haven't told anyone about yet. But anyway, during that process.
My sister loves Iceland.
Yeah, Iceland's amazing.
Yeah.
I would always go, oh, hey, did you hear Hello Games is hiring? Or, hey, did you hear so-and-so's hiring? I don't know if I want to tell her Romero Games is hiring. I don't know why. Why would that
tell her? She's an adult.
She is. She can make a decision for herself.
You don't have to do the protective dad thing and like keep the truth away from her, and you'll find out when you're older.
I just know that there were like during those early Doom years, that stuff was, I don't know, for some reason I picture them all.
He seems pretty chill.
Yeah.
Are you afraid his hair is gonna come alive, Bayonetta style? Just like open the door for her, and he'll just be like. The hair turns into a hand beckoning to come in, and she follows it, and then he's sitting in a room, and it's all around him. It's combing itself.
Yeah, but it now has options to turn.
There's
options now to turn the nudity off, so the hair will just be like a black undersuit. So it's all okay now. And plus, he's 54 or something. He's not like running around like a 22-year-old with his wiener out anymore.
You're not worried about him. Are you worried about him or just a toxic dude bro workplace that a Doom-style shooter game might have, right?
Well, okay. Here's confession time. I met John Romero in the 90s at a place called Software Etc., where he was working part-time and working with his friends at id to make their first game.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What? This is crazy.
I know.
This is crazy. This is huge.
It is crazy. He was
you
here.
bumped into John Romero when he was just John Romero schlub at computer store guy.
The problem is I didn't even know. He hadn't done anything big yet, so I just knew him as this guy that my friend knew as John Romero. We went and saw him. We hung out for a bit. There's a whole story I probably shouldn't say on the air because I don't know how public it is. But there's a whole dirty back end story that supposedly happened with him and a girlfriend from high school and this whole thing. I don't know. Anyway, so there was that.
Let's maybe leave that out.
Yeah, I'll leave that part out.
Well, we either leave it out or we lean hard into it.
No, leave it out. We'll leave it out.
We got to pick a direction.
I want Romero. I'm sure he's doing great. It's no casting. Everyone's a dick in high school. It's not, it's not fair, I don't think. But anyway, he was working there part-time. Somebody he was related to owned this place called Software Etc. They don't exist anymore. Not Software Etc. John worked at a Software Etc. It's called...
I did. In fact, I'm a little upset at this more successful than me, John, who also worked at a Software
That's what's throwing me off. Oh, John, Software... It was Software and More. That's what it was. It was a local...
Software and More.
It was literally... It was like saying Software Etc. except...
Back in the day,
more.
We didn't have great names for our software stores.
Man, they were already scraping the barrel with Software Etc. So I didn't know they had a competing Software and More.
And I think it's
software, but not just software.
Yeah, not shit software. Only the good stuff. But it was only the single store. There was no regional or national chain or anything. It was just one place.
Okay.
And
it's Mr. Robot, basically.
Kind of, yeah. And that's actually a really good comparison because I also worked at a Mr. Robot-like computer company, and so that's how it was all tied together, and we got over there. Anyway, the point is, I think they had just pushed Commander Keen out, and we're working on Doom, or no, Wolfenstein. Maybe they may even been done with that, and we're working on Spear of Destiny, but I still didn't know he was involved or something.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, long story short, I just have this feeling still from then that those guys were all just lighting their farts on fire and being gross all day. I know that's probably not what Romero Games is today, so I just think that's my weird hang-up where I'm like, should I tell Carter they have an opening or not? I don't know. It's weird.
Right.
It's weird
because we all were that age and we all did stupid stuff.
Yeah.
I still remember the first time I went over to a friend's house and he was like, look, I can light my hand on fire if I spray stuff in it. And like saw somebody do that thing where they light their hand on fire with cologne.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell were we doing?
You know, it's youth. I get it. We all did it.
Like everybody did dumb stuff like that. I burned all the hair off of one of my arms because somebody told me that if you do bug repellent through a lighter, it turns into a flamethrower.
Yeah.
And wanting to be responsible, not dangerous, I decided to do this aimed at a running sink of water. And the fire hit the sink, curled back up over the sink, and went right up my arm and burned all the hair off of my arm.
Oh, my Lord. That's terrifying. I feel like I could have told you that, though. Even then, I think I knew that.
You know what? Yeah, a lot of common sense would have told you that would have happened. Common sense I did not possess, and that a lot of people don't possess when they're that age.
Yeah.
Like, people do some really stupid stuff. Honestly, we need to be nicer to each other, because if we weren't this community that takes care of each other and helps each other in some way, like, how do any of us make it past the age of 13?
I don't think Scott's worried about John Romero lighting his hand on fire and Kurt.
No.
It's the sexual assault dude bro place. Like,
yeah, I just think
the headlines of the Times are like, these software companies are not exactly welcoming to certain types of people necessarily, and you just that would be the concern.
And it's obviously I'm obviously
shit abusive workplace.
Exactly, and I'm in the like paranoid dad mode, so
yeah,
it's all fine. She's gonna go do this thing in Iceland. I told her while she's in Iceland, if the CCP people come over just to see what they're doing, going Borka, what do we got going here? And if they say, hey, we need a young American female artist / animator / whatever to come help us over here at EVE Online, I said, would you take it? And she still hasn't answered me. I don't know what it means. Maybe she would.
Yeah,
maybe she'd work for them.
Tell you she's gonna be in Iceland.
Well, my sister and her husband went to Iceland. They loved it there. She wants to go back.
Yeah, it's
really,
cool.
It's a really great place.
Yeah.
So,
you always hear, it's made of ice. No, it's Greenland that's icy.
It's made of volcanoes.
Yeah, and it's all they got the lutefisk crap, which it's like dead fish, I looked at the Romero Games logo, which looks like a Red Dead logo, and I thought of Red Dead. That's why I said Red Dead. But it's like fish that's like putrefied and stuff, and you eat it out of a can, and it makes everyone gag, and it's a real hoot on TikTok. But I guess it's a beloved sort of thing to eat over there, and I told her that if she eats it, she has to film it. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway.
So she's definitely going or no?
Oh, yeah, she's going to go.
That's awesome.
That is happening. Yeah, I'm excited for her.
Yeah.
It's going to be very
I know as a
cool.
parent, you're just like, oh, you're going to be so far away. You want to be protective, and you're basically...
And she'll be gone for 2 holidays. She'll be gone for, 3. She'll be gone for Thanksgiving because that's right around a little bit after she leaves. And then Christmas she'll miss. And then New Year, she'd fly back on New Year's Day. So
Well, if she's up for it, you guys should schedule a weekly Zoom call at the very least.
Oh, yeah.
Check in. We do that in our family just even because of COVID. Check in, make sure everyone's okay. And all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we do all that.
So, yeah, you should,
Should do great. She's out of her
Make sure
mind
you-
excited. So,
yeah, of course,
she's
going to a new
losing it.
country. And Iceland's great. Bjork's from there, and
yeah.
it's my sister raves about it constantly. So,
Is it weird that I
Maybe
want to
if-
destroy her cat while she's gone? Is that weird? Should I not feel that way?
Yes.
Wait,
Yes.
what?
I hate her cat.
Destroy?
Her cat's
What does
a
a cat do to you?
her cat's a butthole. He's not a nice cat. And
You guys just keep your distance from each other. you don't gotta do something to it.
Draw
Oh.
a line on the floor, treat it like a bad sitcom. Draw a line on the floor and go, all right, cat, this is your side, this is my side.
I don't think Deckard
Establish boundaries.
Deckard Cain does not follow those rules. By the way, speaking of pets and video games, so all our pets right now, up till recently, were kind of nerdy names. So you got Jim Raynor, the female dog, my dog. Had her since 2015. Brighter days for Blizzard. That's why she's named after a Blizzard character. And then you got Carter's dog, who's a Weimaraner, big old dog named Ripley. She's named after Ellen Ripley from the Aliens movies. And then we named Deckard after Deckard Cain. Although that's an easy one, the cat, because we can easily switch it and say, no, this is Deckard from Blade Runner if we want to. But doesn't matter. It's nerdy either way, right? Well, Kim just got, it's a long story why, but she ended up with a little Cockashitsapoo dog type. I don't know what the little
I hate
thing.
when a cock a shits a poo, but it happens.
It does happen when you least expect it. That cock is going to shitsapoo. Anyway, she got this little dog, and it's a girl again because we only like girl dogs apparently in our house. And they were trying to name it, and Kim loves Schitt's Creek, the Canadian show Schitt's Creek, and the character played by Catherine O'Hara named Moira. She decided to name the dog Moira, but the joke's on her because there's a Moira or Moria or however you say her name in Overwatch. She's the tall redheaded like magic lady with the 2 fists and 1 heals and 1
the
shoots.
the iconic Overwatch character Moira. That
Yeah, everyone knows because everybody was definitely still playing that video game when that character got it.
Yeah, but it helps me because I don't feel like
You know what? It's a character from the X-Men.
Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
We'll use that. That's better.
who's Moira in X-Men?
Yeah, what's her power? I don't remember what she does.
Well, so for the longest time, she was sort of like the human that helped the X-Men, but recently, I think it was Jonathan Hickman did a run where her mutant powers, when she dies, she gets born again. She gets taken back in time to the moment she was born with all the knowledge that she had from the life she just lived.
Oh, poor
And
her.
the big
Yeah.
reveal is that it in Marvel continuity has happened 5 times prior to this. And so she has been appearing as just a regular person, not a mutant. She actually has this crazy mutant power and has been kind of trying to influence the events of the Marvel universe for a long time because she's seen it play out multiple different ways.
Interesting. So does she still has to live that? This is all ringing a bell now. I don't remember where I saw it. It was probably a book. Oh wait, did they have her? No, that's what I'm. But she has to start as a baby and go all through that again.
Yeah.
Ugh, that sounds like hell to me. That's
Yeah.
awful. I mean, great, you know all your shit when you come back the 3rd and 4th time, but if you keep dying, oh, that's a rotten power. I don't like it. No, sir.
I mean, it just depends how good those years are, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you come from an abusive home, that would be terrible. It'd be like, it would be awful if you have to relive those shitty years over and over again. Oh my god,
Yeah, it sounds bad. Chat
that's the
says
worst power ever.
Benjamin in the chat says I just watched that movie. What movie? I don't know what movie that would be. Did I just watch something that was like that?
There might be a movie where that's what I.
I watched Edge of Tomorrow with the chat room some time ago, or last Friday, and that movie's kind of like that. But they don't relive their whole life. He just relives the last 3 days, not his whole life again. That movie's awesome, by the way. But
Edge of a Lifetime.
Yeah, Edge of a Lifetime is much harder. Oh my gosh, Groundhog Life. There you go. All right. Well, anyway, John Romero making a new shooter.
Covered it.
Is there anything we want out of him in particular? Do we want something? I mean, Unreal 5, that's
let's
great.
Innovate, please. So John Romero gets a lot of love because he was a historic figure in gaming, deserved.
Sure.
But it doesn't strike me that he's like doing anything innovative at this juncture with the shooting. So unless he makes a solid Doom Eternal ass level of game, which would be very welcome, that'd be awesome. Then let's get something innovative.
Yeah, that'd be cool,
those
right?
would be the two things I would wish for, but they can make whatever they want, I guess. But,
yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know what I want. I don't want Daikatana. I know that was bad.
No Daikatana.
No,
I just think it's interesting that somebody it's a real testament to where our heads were video gaming wise, that someone can be so synonymous with their genre of game that they can just be like, hey, I'm making a first person shooter, and that alone is newsworthy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like there aren't 500 million shooters.
Right. So, yeah, it's big news because someone who was really, really good at it is doing it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it seems like I don't know. What I want out of John Romero may not be. What's wrong with our screen today? This is so effed up.
I don't know. What are you doing?
I'm trying to show people this stupid article.
Yeah, your screen is out of control, dude.
Totally
There's me. It's like the intro to Cowboy Bebop going on right now. Just
it's
windows
like you install
everywhere.
OBS for the first time and you're trying to figure out.
There it is. I don't know what happened there. Something got up.
Call your grandson. He'll tell you what to do.
It's really screwed up. Anyway, I seriously don't know what caused that, but I'll figure it out later. All right, moving on. Ubisoft canceled a bunch of stuff. And if you're all wondering where Splinter Cell was as a franchise, well, we kind of know where it was supposed to be heading. And I'm kind of mixed on this because I don't know if that I'd really care that much about a stealth VR game. I would prefer a mainline Splinter Cell game probably. But anyway, Splinter Cell VR, Ghost Recon Frontline, and some other unannounced games are officially canceled at the studio, which happens sometimes. Various studios cancel projects all the time.
I guess Frontline was going to be a battle royale. Real late to the party battle royale that they were making for Ghost Recon.
Well, wait a minute. So that means they were working on, 3 battle royales and couldn't get their shit together? Because they had the one that was in beta and then they pulled it. What was that called? Oh my gosh, it's so memorable. I can't remember the damn name. Anyway, whatever that was, they had their futuristic looking one that was out. It was actually out in beta and then they canceled it. And then there was something else they were working on that was battle royale-ish, and then this, I guess. A little too late, probably, in that market.
Yeah, weird that you can't chase trends like that. Like, video game development isn't really fast enough to chase a trend that way.
No.
The only reason Fortnite got away with it, because that's the thing everybody always points at, is everyone goes, well, Fortnite did it. The only reason Fortnite was able to do it was because the game already existed. They just took a game that already was there and tweaked it into a thing. That's a lot different than, hey guys, I think these battle royales are really taking off. Let's spend 3 years trying to make the next one that's going to be really popular.
Yeah.
It
reminds me of those early
chasing's bad.
It reminds me of those early WoW days when everybody was chasing WoW, and that that was happening a lot. You could even argue Final Fantasy, at least, I don't know, to some degree, the original release of Final Fantasy 14, maybe even as it stands now, these were all games that were just chasing WoW success. And so 1 or 2 make it through and the rest fall off the edge. And this is I don't know why we don't learn our lessons. Like, I would have seen Fortnite to some degree, Apex Legends, and of course PUBG. I would see those and go, that's really formidable, guys. I don't know if we really need to try to carve, because you're never going to carve it out enough of that pie to be meaningful for a company the size of Ubisoft. Just like Blizzard never carved out enough of an audience for Heroes to do that to the MOBA market. It just seems like a weird thing to chase, but I guess this is the result. They had to cancel it. It's not happening now. Splinter Cell VR is interesting. That was being let's see, created by Ubisoft Red Storm Studio, and they're a capable bunch up there. What surprises me about all this is that the game that wasn't canceled and now has like a release date for this year is Skull and Bones. The game we all thought was going to be canceled is the game that's actually coming out. And actually, if I'm honest, it's the one I am most interested in of all of these. I'm much happier to hear Skull and Bones is actually happening. So, yeah, we'll see.
So what's the deal? Like, you can't buy their games anymore?
No. Oh, that's a whole different thing. So the different news story, but they decommissioned a bunch of existing games that had certain DLC elements that were online related and or multiplayer stuff. So Brotherhood, remember Assassin's Creed Brotherhood?
Sure.
One would argue.
Who can forget?
One would argue it was the original Among Us. I would argue. Because the multiplayer.
Actually, yeah, I can see that.
I really enjoyed that stuff. I thought that multiplayer was rad. Neat ideas. I wish they wouldn't have dropped it.
Although
but anyway.
there was a Steam game called The Ship that I think predates Brotherhood.
Oh, The Ship,
I was a big fan of it. It was a old game back in the day, but it was basically like you're on a ship with a bunch of other NPCs, and you all have a target that you need to kill. But it's just one person, and it's like your attempts to kill that person while blending in, while you can't get caught doing it. This is a long time ago, but it was a cool game, and it definitely had that DNA for what Among Us would eventually become.
Interesting. I'm still surprised we didn't see more Among Us likes crop up as quickly. Like, I feel like we're seeing that with Vampire Survivors and other kinds of hot little properties. But for whatever, Among Us felt like there may have been a few before it, but it was the one that really landed, and then nobody tried to dupe it. I know there's like a little Western one you can buy for like $10 where you're trying to be nonchalant in a little Old West town, and it's basically Among Us, but set in the Old West. Third person, a little more realistic or whatever. But yeah, that always surprised me. Anyway, so this is interesting. There was a trailer last October. They showed people doing stuff in this Ghost Recon Frontline game. The game's announcement had significant backlash to the point that YouTube, before they were letting you see dislikes, or before they stopped letting you see dislikes, that channel and that video had accrued 4.8 thousand likes compared to 17,000 dislikes within a couple of days. Now, whether that informed the decision or not, I don't know, but it probably played a part because, why are you going to try to push a game that nobody wants to play? Oh, back to Bo's point. Sorry, I didn't even answer the thing. They decommissioned a bunch of games. Brotherhood was one. Like, if you own Brotherhood, you can still play it. The single-player game's all there, but none of that multiplayer stuff works. And then the one that was based it was like an offshoot of the French one. I forgot the name of it, but that whole game won't work. So people are pissed.
Oh, so they lose their single-player campaign because it has an online component?
I think so. Like either that or this was DLC. Liberation, that's it. And I can't remember if Liberation was affected more because in itself it is an example of DLC, like it's part of a main game's DLC, like Unity's was the game I'm thinking of. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that all got decommissioned and people are up in arms and freaking out.
I'm up. Yeah, it's overwhelmingly negative on Steam. I'm just looking at Liberation right now. It's still available for sale for the 20th, but Ubisoft delisted this game, added that it will be inaccessible following September 1st. So I basically bought a digital paperweight.
Yep. Basically.
So they're still selling it, but then you just can't play it. Like, they can't patch it so that people, like, it's an old game, don't care. We're not selling it for all you people who bought it. Like,
hard to say. Their PR has been real fishy around it. I wish they would actually say something and say why they didn't make it possible.
That's all it would take. Like, I mean, the amount of revenue they generate, like, I'm sure it's not easy. I like to say things are easy and they're not, but I'm sure it's not that expensive.
It's also just
like
bad.
Just to be like, all right, these are DRM free single player games. Boom, here you go. Unless it's like so integrated, I just can't imagine that it would be unfixable.
Yeah, it's just poor form, really. I hate that I hate when anyone does this, but in particular, this one just feels like they don't care.
How do they know in 30 years they're not going to be selling them like hotcakes? Like, was Square Enix certain they were going to be selling tons of Final Fantasy 1 through 7's old ass games? Like,
yeah, I don't.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so so lame on their part. Like, ugh.
I agree.
You know?
Someone will figure out a way. Here's the funny part about it is we always freak out about this, but someone will preserve it. It'll work. They'll make it underground, and then you can get liberation. Yeah. I don't even know if anyone
There'll be a mod
really
for
cares.
it, and then they'll get sued.
Yeah, they'll get sued for it.
Like, I didn't put it in the news items, but the VR guy got sued, or not sued, but got takedown noticed for the VR mod I used for Cyberpunk. He did one for like Take-Two games, like GTA 5 and RDR, and they issued a takedown. And I'm like, what?
Why?
What's wrong with you people?
Why they let him the game? But they mod.
But he's
games.
So the mod runs as a separate executable. Like while you play, it modifies I think the game a little bit, but it's just to run on 2 screens on your VR headset. Like it doesn't do anything.
That's dumb. That annoys
it's
me.
Like so. Like basically, you know, it's like suing someone because you played the game in 720p resolution. The game wasn't designed to do it. Like they're not suing him as takedown notice, but suing is coming after if there's no takedown. It's.
I'm telling you, man. Why
even throw that energy out there? You were so lame. Like, ugh, gross.
I agree. A bunch of lawyers make a bad decision like this, and it's just so ugly. Like, why not? Why
are you even in the gaming space?
Right. Also, don't have your games accessible through mod sites. Then, like, if you're going to start, I mean, this is why Blizzard made some of their games. Going forward, they made them online only. At the time, it was super controversial. Now everyone does it, but at the time, like Diablo 3, part of that was so that people couldn't modify it and change it. But some of the greatest, coolest things have come from mods. Entire industries have come from mods. Like, Team Fortress was a freaking Quake mod that I played. I loved it.
There's an argument to be made in some of it if you're trying to have a fair and balanced system to not put mods in. Like if there's competition involved, I guess. But,
sure. But if it's just a guy making a thing.
RDR.
Boo. This guy can eat a poo. Or they can eat a poo.
No, you're right. Like, it's like, I agree they should go after. There are people who do infringe, right? Like running your own server when it's a company that makes money from their servers, offering you authentic experience. Like
I get that.
I get it. You know, I might not love it either, but I can support that.
But modding a game that already let you mod it, like GTA 5 has a billion
context,
mods,
right? Like you can't just say let all mods happen or let no mods happen. It's like let mods that don't fundamentally undermine your business happen, and it's like making a VR version of your game. It's just splitting it onto 2 screens, and the screens are pasted to your eyeballs. Like that's all you're changing.
Yeah, you're not doing anything special there. Yeah,
and yeah, maybe, and you're changing camera positions because there needs to be 2 cameras. But like, it's a display mod. Yeah. Like it's not a big deal. It's not fundamentally changing gameplay or anything. It's not even giving you a benefit. It's harder to play in VR probably than on the screen. So it's so beyond stupid. Anyways, that's sort of dumb. Yeah.
Pretty dumb.
It's an example here, just like someone might mod those games, and then Ubisoft could turn around and sue them and be like, "Sorry, we don't offer these anymore. We're trying to create scarcity now and screw people out of their game."
Yeah, it's kind of it. I hate to say it. That is what they're doing.
And those people live. There are people who believe this is a good thing who live in the world. Like that's their job. They made the decision. They happily support it, and they exist. And it's kind of unbelievable.
They do. They have Thanksgiving with people. Think of that.
Yeah.
Those dirty, dirty people. All right. One other note about this Splinter Cell thing. I was really hoping that tease we got back from when was it? I think there's a note here about it. I can't find it. There was a tease some time ago where it was like, they showed the goggles, and then you were like, oh, at the end of their conference, and you didn't know what they were going to do. Well, apparently this was it. It was a planned collaboration and exclusive deal with Meta headsets. So this was only going to be a Quest 1 or 2 exclusive. It was not going to be anywhere else, including Steam or anything. So I don't see this as a giant loss. But I hope they're not, done with Splinter Cell. It's one of my favorite things in the world.
No, I think this is just, trimming the fat, so to speak. But
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if we see something more legitimate Splinter Cell coming up.
Yeah.
NFT, Splinter Cell NFTs.
Yeah.
Because remember, Ubi's on the NFT train, right? They got their Quanta NFT Quanta.
Oh yeah, but didn't that? I thought that all farted out because they tried it in Ghost Recon.
Honestly, Ubisoft gives me the impression of a company circling the drain right now. There's nothing exciting going on with them. They don't seem to have a very good public image. I see them getting trashed constantly. Like they're obviously not circling the drain, but like they got nothing interesting going on.
Yeah, that's weird over there. Even their most interesting project, if you want to call it interesting, I don't think it's that interesting, but they were working on a big giant what's the name of that damn thing? Avatar game for the release of these upcoming Avatar sequels. And it was an exclusive deal with the filmmakers and all this deal. And that just got announced that it's delayed.
Yeah, it's not coming out till after the movie.
Yeah, that's bad. So
yeah, it's not good signs. Like, I agree with Bo. Like, I think if you're just kind of watching what Ubisoft's doing, it's a lot of cancellations, bad PR, things being delayed.
Their own sexual scandals, by the way.
Lack
their own
of support, their own, their own scandals and all of that, and just not a lot of good to balance that out.
Yeah. And then public statements like, oh, we kind of hope someone buys us, or whatever they said. Remember that a few months ago? It was like Microsoft was in the middle of the Activision announcement, and somebody quoted some executive or somebody at Ubisoft that they were hoping that they perhaps would be bought, which is a weird thing to say when you're a giant worldwide publisher and creator of games, and you got to.
They're trying to avoid that just a few years ago. Remember the whole big fear that they were going to lose their market share and they were going to get bought out, and they sounded so sad on their E3 presentation and all of that. It was now they're like, yeah, I guess I don't know.
Yeah, because they had the founder Bakaki, what's his name? I don't know his name. But he comes out and he's going,
it's not that, I can tell you. There's a lot of names it could have been, and it isn't that.
But he's out there going, yay, we did not get picked up by Vivendi. Hoo-hoo! And he was jumping and screaming and freaking out on stage. And then now they're like, oh, I hope someone buys us. That'd be great. So I don't know I don't know how that's all going to turn out for them. But good luck, Ubisoft. You feel a little weird right now. John, what's going on with this Marvel Snap thing? It says, John, here's our headline. John wondered what was up with Marvel Snap, and he said he'd look it up.
Yeah, our resident card game enthusiast here, John Jagger.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody always is like, John doesn't like mobile games, and it's true. And everybody expected when we talked about Marvel Snap that, John's going to hate it. But I actually got really excited about this game.
Yeah.
And I was really looking forward to it, and it felt like we had those big announcements, and we saw him playing the game, and it got me really hyped for it. Like it's the most hyped I've been about a mobile game in a long time, and certainly the most excited I've been about a card game in a long time. And then all of a sudden, I just didn't hear anything anymore, and I was like, "Where is it? What happened to it? I need to go find out. Like, can I get it?" So I went and looked it up, and then I wound up being sad that I did, because it turns out, so the game continues to be in beta for Android.
Yeah.
It has released in a couple regions. So I believe in New Zealand and like Portugal or something. I don't remember. Maybe there's a couple regions where you can
Brian Ibbott's actually playing it. I want to say Australia, maybe, or maybe it was Singapore. There's something like that where you have you have to flip over your account for a second and find an address in Australia, and then flip back over and it'll let you download it or something. It's weird.
Yeah. So I can't play it yet. So let me preface all of this with that. There's no way for me to play it. But I was like, well, why aren't we hearing anything about it? What's going on? So I dove into it to just see if there was a date, if there's expectations or what. And what I found is that it is currently mired in a lot of controversy about microtransactions.
Recent ones, like recent additions,
so sad to find out. Yeah. So I ended up having to dive into this a little bit. I read it last night and I tweeted it out. And, with our audience that we have, usually when we're like, hey, microtransactions bad, we get generally mostly support. Yeah. Like, not surprising that people that listen to video game podcasts are like, yeah, F microtransactions.
Yeah.
Because we're the people that are upset by it. We're not the people usually participating in it. But I immediately had people pushing back going, no, it's not that bad. Which was interesting to me because, again, that's usually not the way it goes. And I had one guy, Matt, who was talking to me for a little bit over Twitter last night and was basically like, no, it's no issue. It's fine. I actually find it to be a really good system. It forces play. You can't just buy your way into having all the cards. You have to actually play the game to get there. Like, it's really neat. And then after a delay, all of a sudden I got another message and they basically said, oh, I just read about the Nexus event stuff. Yeah, it's actually extremely predatory and awful. And I was like, oh, okay. I had another person write to me. Again, same deal. Like, it's not that bad. It's okay. And I said, well, here's the article I read. Can you tell me what they're getting factually incorrect? Because I'm going to go on Core and talk about it. Like, I want some idea why people keep telling me it's not that bad. And they never responded. So I think what has happened is they have started a thing called a Nexus event.
Yep.
And it sounds like by all accounts, the game was pretty solid up to this point, but they've done this thing called the Nexus event where they basically put for a very limited amount of time. So you've got the temptation, like, oh, you got to act fast. There are cards that you can get, and it's a very low chance to get them.
Mm-hmm.
And you can spend in-game currency to get it, but you have a very short window, and with how low the drop rate is, it's an astronomical amount of in-game gold.
Apparently the super rare cards are 1.5%.
Ooh, jeez.
And that works out to, it would take roughly 200 packs to open to get, which means 36,000 gold. And 8,000 gold is $100. So in other words,
$450,
you're averaging $450 to get those cards.
Oh, $100. You mean best value? Is that what you mean? Is best value?
Right. Yeah. Best value.
Well,
so
$450. Well, hang on. So also it says new packs are released bi-weekly, meaning the total players must shell out $900 per month. So they're doing new sets of cards every 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah. So
every 2 weeks?
That's a lot of new cards. Yeah. Anyway.
That seems kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I went and I checked Ben Brode's Twitter just to be like, well, he seems passionate about the game, right? Like, you don't hear him out there going like, man, this is going to be the best monetization ever. Like, he's just excited to make a video game. So I was like, well, what's he saying? And it sounds like they're patching it to try and increase drop rates and stuff like that. I don't think that's enough, in my opinion. Like, just having a higher drop rate it doesn't get rid of bad practices, but he's out there really doing PR as far as that goes. It just made me sad because it does look like a game that a lot of people care very much about. It got me to care about it just from a couple presentations. And once again, predatory monetization practices creep in.
Yeah.
And really kind of step on it and ruin it, which is unfortunate. I do want to say, though, because, again, people have defended this to me. I know I've said this before. Let me just make the point abundantly clear for all the replies I got that were like this. Saying I didn't spend any money is not addressing the issue.
No.
If you didn't spend any money, we're not talking about you.
Right.
Like,
We're not at all.
I don't know how to stress that enough.
Yeah.
It's like saying, I don't want to go too extreme on this, but it's like saying,
well, I don't need cancer medication. I'm fine.
Right.
Well,
that's again
that's
very
good.
extreme, but like, yes, I don't know why people are so upset about the cost of medication. I'm not sick.
Yeah.
What's the big deal about chemotherapy? Like,
it's just that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about you.
I've never been pulled over because of the color of my skin. That's a little extreme, but it's kind of the same.
Again, your brain goes to all these very extreme examples. I don't want to necessarily go that far because I just don't want to compare.
Meow choice.
Yeah. I just don't want to compare them, but like, guys, it can be predatory whether it's getting you or not. That's not the point we're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's one of
right.
those things. I'm a little sad about it. I still like.
I'm sad
you
about
just
it too. I
pulled
really
up
wanted
the
to play this
gameplay,
game.
and I looked at it, and once again I saw the cards and was like,
I know.
it looks so good.
It looks
I didn't
so
know
good.
this was going on. I'm so sad to hear that. And
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, Bo. Like, I'm not saying this is going to change. This might be the doom. This might be the death nail. But up till now, it's been nothing but positive from everybody. It was just this new stuff, and everybody lost their minds. And I'm not saying they shouldn't. They probably should. I'm mad at the devs or whoever's in charge of this part of it for like going, hey, we go with the beta. Everyone's enjoying it. Yeah, doing good. No big complaints. Great. Awesome. By the way, here comes some really shitty business. You know, like, why did they do that? Why couldn't this?
Because they're winning. Like, so I don't know. Okay, look, my YouTube, I get recommended all kinds of things. I did follow this little bit of Asmongold back and forth with another YouTuber named Stewie. I don't know if you saw this, John.
Baby from Family Guy? No, I don't
know. No. He's this guy who's like he's this a small YouTuber, and he's like, I don't know why people are shitting on Diablo Immortal. It's the best game. I love this game, and he's like super on the side of that's how games are like, and it's awesome. And you guys are like a bunch of morons for complaining about it. No one wants to hear. Like, there are people who like look at that and we're like so mad about it, and they're just like, no, this is great. They exist, and like you can tell people, hey, don't play this game. It has shitty monetization practices. We're not going to cover it. We're going to support it. They don't care. They're going to make their money. They already won. Like it doesn't like that. That's what I was saying. Where it's like, why do these companies want to make PC games that people are just going to shit on anyways for clout and for money, for revenue, when they can make mobile games that is immune to criticism, first of all, and second of all, is making way more money. Yeah. So like this is a success. Like, they can get on Reddit and shit on it to live a long day. I think this game's probably going to do fine. This is going to be a successful game.
Oh yeah.
And like I just don't know what to say in the face of that, except like just to let it go and let it be what it's going to be at this point, because like I want to steer clear from these games. I don't think there's anything invalid about any criticism that anyone's said on this, but like, it's just disappointing to hear. I just sort of expect a reasonable pace, and like every 2 weeks new card sets. Are you freaking kidding me? Like that is insane. That is insane. But they're serving their clientele are going to pay them, and then they're going to look at that's our clientele. That's the people who are shitting on us. We'll get bored and move on. We're not going to expend our entire existence on it, and the people to whom it matters, if they're generating enough profit, they'll do it, and it's becoming normalized. So. Yeah, I it's sad, and like all these streamers and big YouTubers criticize it, but they run head first into big spending holes anyway. Like they do it anyways, and I know some of the big streamers now are big time gamblers. They're getting support from gambling sites. Like gambling is getting its hooks into Twitch gaming and stuff like that. And like, I mean, casinos make tons of money every year. We're the ones that are not the crusty, no fun, people that are like, gambling, that's terrible, get it out of my game. And everyone's like, you're so uncool, man. Gambling's awesome. Losing my house is amazing. I love it.
I love losing everything I've got. It's amazing.
And that's other people. They lose their house. They suck at gambling, but I'm good at gambling, and I don't lose my house. That makes me an amazing person.
This is all going to accelerate regulation, by the way. All of this stuff, it already is in some parts of the world. Chat's reminding me
about. It may because of the kids angle, but I think that just puts age verification.
It is. I think that, I mean, honestly, that's the best thing that could happen. Like, threat of government regulation is what changed that. It's why we have the ESRB. That's how it happened.
Yeah.
People made enough of a stink that the government went, something has to be done about this Mortal Kombat. I understand hearts are being ripped out.
And then the industry self-corrected. The industry went, okay. And
the industry went, shit,
exactly.
Guys, all our fun is about to end. We better fix this.
Yeah.
And the same thing's going to happen. While they're raking in the money, nothing is going to change. And that's, so the Wraith just said that the UK government is looking to ban loot stuff. I don't know if this was related specifically to loot boxes or something else, but I actually just heard that the overall ruling was, hey, the publishers need to figure this out. The publishers are never going to figure this out until the threat of governmental oversight comes in, because they're making too much money.
Yeah, they're printing money. Why would they change it?
like, oh no, we should take care of it ourselves. I'll cry into this money that I have. My bad.
Yeah, they're not going to do that. That's 100% correct. And there's the other thing. Like Diablo 2 or Diablo Immortal is now raking in somewhere upwards of 2 million a day in just pure revenue per day. Yeah. Why would they? They might be a great game, a bad game, a middle game. It doesn't matter. If it's making $2 million a day and it's even just doing it on the basis of its IP alone,
why should they shut down World of Warcraft?
Yeah, this thing has got more. This thing's got more.
Money on this
crap game.
You're not wrong.
World of Warcraft immortal.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Like the temptation must be real to figure out a way to do that instead of this other thing that is to them is not the big money generator. If they want to print money, do this. That's the problem. I still think John's right from months ago when you said this helps pay for what we want.
It does until they decide that it's not worth appeasing us.
But what we want is also not going to get all the money anyways. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like Heroes was what we wanted and never, that it's not going to get it. Like other things got more attention than that game, right? Like John's always saying Overwatch was like the actual Heroes of the got all the love, it got all the cinematics. It's like, well, yeah, Heroes failed because you lathered it all on Overwatch. You could have lathered more and all that hype and excitement from Overwatch onto Heroes. So like, I think you're always going to be second best or third priority or fourth priority. So I think that's consolation that you might tell yourself, but I think the writing's on the wall, man.
Yeah. Until somebody steps in, until the threat of that money going away happens and they come up with a way to police themselves because they're afraid of what the government will do as the solution. Because that's all it really is. It's not that they don't want the government to do it. It's that they think they're going to make more of that money still if they control it versus what the government might tell them to do.
Yeah.
And I think that threat is ultimately going to be what pays off. But, you got to get the government to care about it first. The government has a lot of other things that they're busy ignoring right now. Who knows when we're going to get around to it.
Yeah.
The only one that's interested, as far as I know, is Ted Cruz. He's the only one interested.
Yeah, he's the only one, and even he's like, "Well, hold on, I'm busy. I gotta do some other stuff right now."
No, he's even the one that said I love my little games that I play, and it's great because I can pay a little money and deck out my stuff, and like he seems to be embracing the idea of microtransactions. So he ain't gonna help.
Yeah, no, he's into it. He's like, oh, he loves it. That's how I get more powerful.
You just gotta manipulate him into fearing that it's like corrupting the kids. Like
I have no doubt his position's gonna be, in real life, like I don't have money, I don't have a lot of clout, but I spend some money and boom, I'm all of a sudden top dog or something. That's the video games are reflecting life.
I think we should figure out a way to get him to trip into a herd of cattle that are panicking and running really fast. That's what we need to do with Ted Cruz. But anyway, besides that, like the UK has been spearheading this a little bit. Other parts of the world are doing more. I think there are multiple bills and or hearings already penned and ready to go here. Again, not a priority probably with a lot of other stuff going on, but I do think it's looming. And that's part of why I think they're going crazy with releasing stuff quickly, trying to get out there and be the number one name and get this stuff happening, because I think that banhammer's coming. I really do. It's easy to get cynical and say, well, why would the government care? Because now there's money they could make from this or something. Maybe, but gambling is very regulated in this country. In most countries, it's very heavily regulated. So if they want that, fine, let's regulate it. If they don't want it, then you better fix it yourself. I think John's absolutely right about that. That's what
we really missed our window. What we should have done, we should have seen the writing on the wall and gone, the game's called Diablo. We should have mobilized all the extreme Christian religious zealots and be like, your kids are gambling with devil dollars. And they would have been like, what? We gotta march on the Capitol right now. I'm not saying all Christians.
No. That's not what John means.
That you all know.
Yeah, we're talking about extremes
here. We know
here.
Who we're talking about. You can see him outside the Hall of BlizzCon.
You're opening the doorway to like censorship of
yeah, but it's the same thing he's saying. It's the same thing you're saying though about when you're saying, for those who don't feel like they're being predatory toward them and their playing of these games, we're not talking about them. We're talking about the extremes and the fringes. And in that case, I would love it if it got demonized by some bullshit political whatever. Because then,
but then it won't be Diablo. It'll be Hello Kitty Diablo.
No, the point isn't to get them to go after the name Diablo. It's the gambling with devil dollars. Like, yes, there's a way that this backfires 100%. I'm well aware of it. But
Hello Kitty Diablo.
I mean, that's kind of what Genshin Impact is basically anyway.
Yeah, but it's because of some regulation that those gacha games have to make public the percentage chances. It's the reason we know what Snap's percentage chances are of getting those rare cards at 1.5%. That regulation forced these game companies to have to release those numbers. And so we don't even think about it but that's a good positive step.
the thing that I don't mean to be like argumentative. There's a part of me that's like, do you guys have a lot of respect for slot machine, like actual slot machines?
No.
Especially not video ones. I think they're all.
But they still exist. Like they may be regulated, but they still exist, and they still make lots of money.
Oh yeah.
So like even with I'm not saying this isn't saying we shouldn't bother with any regulation, but like we're not. What we want is for the game companies just to stop making them and make cool shit for that we think are cool.
Yeah.
And they're not gonna so long as
right, but regulation
even
does
if it's
push it in the right direction. It's sort of like, okay, here's what I'm talking about. Did the ESRB's existence mean the end of mature content in video games?
No,
of course
if anything,
no.
it meant more.
But it did put a cap on what video games were going to willingly show for fear of that dreaded AO rating. Because nobody touts that. Nobody's like, yeah, AO. Like it happened once, twice. Like
the Postal games, there was a XXX biking game, I remember.
It put a cap on that to where people are like, okay, we're gonna keep it within a range. And I feel like that is ultimately the goal with regulation for these games. Is it gonna make it all go away and dry up and nobody's gonna do it? No. But can we maybe rein in some of the more predatory practices to be a little bit more within reason, or create it to where if it is classified as gambling, kids aren't allowed to participate in it. And now the video game companies go, well, shit, we just lost the entire market of children that we've been preying upon.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have to rethink how we're going to get our money, and we're not going to do it that way.
Oh, well, kids can still play it. You log in on dad's account.
Oh, they'll find a way. They always do, like they did with violent video games. It's not.
That's what I mean. I think the limit on. You're right. Like I think it will have an effect, but I don't. My prediction would be it wouldn't have enough of an effect that it would steer anything.
Well, let's look at it this way, Bo, because I actually think you're right. I don't think that's that cynical of a view. But here's my question: if Diablo only ever becomes, we'll use that as an example. Diablo is now just this mobile game, and that's where all the money is. So that's all they care about. That seems self-defeating and shooting themselves in the foot if they don't continue to beef up that IP in general. With full releases, with cool games that the three of us would want to buy, because if they don't, that runs out of steam eventually. Like you can't have the popular mobile Diablo game without that popular IP that was made popular in this way, not this way. Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you could just start a new game called Sorcery of Stones, and then there's your game. And I know a lot of people, you see these crop up all the time in mobile, but they're all just cash grabbing as fast as they can and throw it away and start a new game and do it again. But you kind of have to, you either have to establish your IP there and be Angry Birds and have whatever respect that garners on mobile, or it needed to come from over here. There's a mainline series of games called Diablo 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and also our mobile game, which only succeeds in the shadow of these. If you don't have these, you don't have the mobile game. So I guess what I'm saying is I don't see them stopping making the quote-unquote mainstream games and only having this mobile game because that's where the most money is, because there's no money there if you don't feed it with this. Does that make sense? You got to have the big marquee. I'll put it this way. You got to have MCU movies to have the piddly series. You can't have your series of Loki without Loki being a big deal.
Comic books, right?
Like, yeah, exactly.
A ton of people watch MCU did not pick up a comic book.
That's another good example,
because still going to make the comic book.
Exactly. Yeah. That is exactly what I'm trying to. That's a better example, and I could have said it shorter. So thank you for doing that.
All right. Then that's probably fine. I mean, I think
that gives me hope, is what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Because I don't think you're wrong. I think it has a real detrimental effect in the long haul, but I think these companies are hurting themselves by letting that happen. They have to do this.
The context is specifically why we're so butthurt over it. If I can just be self-critical, it's because these have existed long before, and we've had our opinions, but it hasn't occupied a lot of our conversation space.
Yeah,
it's because it's the Blizzard IPs. Like we had an arguably crappy Warcraft 3 Reforged launch. We've had problems with World of Warcraft. We've had Hero shut down, but there's Warcraft, Arclight Rumble, and Diablo Immortal having their day in the sun. And we probably haven't gotten something new and exciting or good news on the game front. You know what I mean? Because it's like an IP that matters to us, I guess.
Oh, that reminds me. I talked to somebody who is in the know about the survival game. I jumped to some conclusions about why the dude left. That was one of the creative director guys. That wasn't his pet project like the way I thought it was. He was just no, he was just a dude there.
Okay. Well, that's good. Good to know.
It is good to know. So I want to take that collectively back from a few weeks ago. I'd forgotten to mention it last week, but I got a whole inside scoop on that, and it's not what I thought. It's easy to do. It's easy to do given the everybody being mad at Blizzard, but sometimes I have to remind myself that it's not always easy to say exactly what's happening because we're not there. We don't know.
Well, this was cobbled together from tweets. I think the same person was the first to sort of be sort of a fulcrum point for conversation when they did announce it.
And he was very evangelical about it. And
so I think the point still stands. We talked about imams or sheikhs.
Sheikhs.
Of sheikhs. In Miss Marvel, they actually say sheikh. Go and
they do.
Yeah. So I was not. You guys laughed at me while we're doing corrections and addendums.
Yeah.
I
mean, look, so I will admit, Bo was right. It did seem ridiculous, but he ultimately was right. I think Bo will have more success convincing people when he stops saying skeletal on a regular basis.
That's what I came here for today.
I'm not perfect, and I'm not on a high horse. I'm not even on a high pony or a high donkey. I'm on ground level with everyone else.
Donkey. I like that.
Well, you might find me on a high donkey, but
sure,
that means something entirely different.
Yeah, depends on what we mean by high, I guess. But
all I want to say is fair point. We are used to having these community leaders with the Blizzard games, and so it's hard not to just default to that now when it comes to anything Blizzard related. You see a name, you see a person answering a lot of questions about an IP, and you're like, that person's the community leader. If they go, it's bad. If they do something we don't like, crucify them. It's kind of like there's a lot of that sort of dynamic going on with Blizzard in particular.
Yeah,
so
hard to avoid. Well, anyway, so there's that bit about Marvel Snap that took us places.
Yeah, I'm sad about that. This game looked interesting, and I really liked Ben Brode. And the narrative I told myself was like, yeah, he's leaving Blizzard to go like work on some awesome shit in an awesome way. And it's like, nope, just the same old shit. Like. I'm sure it's very exciting to work on Marvel properties, but I can't. If it were me, and I'm in that position, and I'm like, man, I hate all the monetization and corporate stuff. Going to start my own indie studio, I'd be very sad to end up in the spot that Marvel Snap is.
Yeah, I think that's just. I hate to say it. That's where that business. We've been saying it for the last half hour. That's where it's sort of headed, and I can't really blame Brode or his team so much because these aren't their decisions. I mean, their decisions are part of this, but
I don't know how like a licensing contract works because it is their company. They're not some big publicly traded company. I don't know if Disney or MCU's like you got to like earn this amount of revenue for us to keep the agreement going or something. Like I don't know what that looks like.
I guarantee.
But this doesn't strike me as like an Activision, like unless Second Dinner is owned by someone or something.
No,
like, I think they're fully into. Like they decided to do this. Like I think they have to wear this.
But this is this is a make or break deal. They don't. I shouldn't say that. I mean, there's other ways to try to make a game and try to make a place for yourself. But if you're going out to do mobile development, even if you have Blizzard names with your new company, and you make something like what was it game called Blackened Heart. What was it? The shooter, the dual stick thing that you finally uninstalled. It was
Catalyst Black.
Catalyst Black. Darkened Heart? What was I saying? Anyway.
He plugged into the name generator for mobile games for a second, just started summoning them from the pit.
Darkened Heart
Catalyst
Plan.
Black's a good game. It's unfortunately got these dumb things in it.
Well, it has those too, but also it's missing the head, which is Marvel, or Diablo, or
they don't have to do that at all.
Yeah.
Except maybe it's the Unity guy building all these companies.
Oh, that Unity guy.
He did his rounds apologizing. It's like, don't do it. You said what you meant.
Yeah,
you
he said
spineless bastard.
We know what he meant.
You said what you meant.
Yeah, there's no taking it back.
He also said they took it out of context. So I was like, is that true? Did we read it out of context? So I went and looked up the context. No, we didn't.
No, it's all kind of context.
We 100% did not take it out of context.
No, if we had an award on the show for most full of shit person in the industry this week, it's that guy. He's full of it.
Yeah. You said what you meant.
Yeah.
Own it.
And Unity's great. You have all kinds of reasons to be proud of who you are and in your place in the business and your engine. Don't be a dumbass. You don't need to be. You're fine. Money ruins people. I'm telling you. Less money.
Well, I mean,
more money, more problems.
It's the whole. It's just they're disconnected from it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
They're just making money at this point. And,
Yeah.
Which
is unfortunate.
It's just what it is. But
yeah.
But yeah, on that front though, like I don't think the Marvel Snap has to be that way. So it's just sad because I was really looking forward to that game, and now it's probably on my avoid playing list. And
yeah, I think that's where I was at too. Like it was I didn't get mad about the monetization. It was more like, oh, this product isn't for me. Like that was the feeling. It was like, oh, they're targeting those people. You know, like it's no longer a product for me. When I saw the art, I was like, oh, this reminds me of stuff I really cared about, and oh, this seems like a cool card game, and this is something I can get into. And so then it's just like, hey, and we're gonna unveil this new feature, and it's just like, oh, turns out not for me.
Yeah,
because I'm not gonna be in on something.
I mean, I'll still
this.
play it. I want to see what it's like just from the get go. Ibit won't shut up about it. I don't know if he's paid me money. Beta? Yeah, he's been playing the beta since day one, and he really likes it. But here's the thing about Brian Ibbott. I mean this not in a negative way, because his fandom is deep. His Marvel fandom, like Peter Parker could show up at his house, poop on the floor in front of his door, and say, "Brian, please rub your face in my Peter Parker poop," and he'd do it.
Oh, jeez! What? Well,
because he loves Marvel.
I mean, he would really do that? No,
that's an extreme case.
Come on, Peter. Like
that's an extreme case. You're probably right. He probably would question it. But my
point
point
is, a little too far with your thing.
Yeah, it's a little extreme. But he's very
he could take a shit
and
he would clean it up on Peter's behalf. Like, he's
he would.
Got to do it.
He would, and he loves Marvel. Like truly true blue Marvel fan, loves it to death. Will go all the movies night one if he can, if he can help it. Like he's that into it. Has a million collectibles. You know, it's just his thing. He loves it. And he's said nothing but big things about it, although he acknowledged they were having some some strife around these new announcements. But even a guy like him, I don't think he spent anything on it. I think he's
some people are immune to it. Like straight up, some people are immune to like all the offerings whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, again, a lot of people, they come out of the woodwork. I didn't spend any money on it. Okay.
Those people are great.
That's not the problem. You're not talking about what we're talking about. I didn't say, hey guys, it's really unfortunate Marvel Snap specifically targeted Tiffany Jones, Brian, we'll just one of the Brians, all the Brians,
Brian Drummond,
Mark
Stephen Stevenson. He's being targeted as well. Like, it's not an individual person thing. Why am I so bad at making up names?
Stephen Stevenson is a really good name. There's nothing wrong with it. I love that name.
But the point is, it's not that they're targeting a couple people specifically. It's that they are making a game intentionally designed to chase money. And if it's not affecting you, then great. You have a game out there that you're enjoying. Continue to enjoy it, I guess.
Yeah, go for it. Because it'll be there.
That's not the issue. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, like some people are just able. Like I think it's the same way that makes them be able to scoop up Peter's stuff. It's like some people don't mind. Well, that's not true. Because like Mike's played Hearthstone. My friend Mike has played Hearthstone for years, and I think has spent like next to nothing, maybe $20 lifetime spend. He plays it on his phone. Like
he's the one that isn't Croft in chat room, just so you know.
Yeah, my friend Michael Hodgins. He plays. It's the only game he plays because he's super set against video games for the most part. Although he's coming around because his oldest is getting into Minecraft in a big way, and it's cool to see. But he would always be like, yeah, I hate playing ranked. Like I have my shaman deck that I got for free that I've earned, and then some guy with 52 turbo rares and 5, just owns him constantly. He's like, I'm getting kind of sick of playing this game, and then he migrated to Battlegrounds.
Oh yeah,
because that game just gives you everything. You don't have to buy. No one is at a distinct advantage. It's cosmetics only, and he switched and never went back. Why? Because he was tired of being, and I'm going to use 2022 nomenclature, cocked by pay-to-win people all day on ladder. And like some people have a threshold, be like, oh, it's a fun game. I got a lot of cards. That's great. It's not fun when you're not on even footing in any way. And
did you say cocked or cucked?
Cucked.
Oh, okay. All right. No, that's fine. I just want to make sure I was in the right room for that.
Yeah, I don't think we got to censor that one. I don't love using that word.
No, I hate that word.
Effect.
No,
yeah,
I
hate
it
too. But I'm using in this context because I want people, I want to wake people up that like, oh, they're kind of okay with being C-worded, like, are you? If you are, it's cool. We're not kink shaming, but like, you're literally playing to lose. Like you're P2L. Like you're just like, you're logging in and you're someone else's fodder, someone else's enjoyment fodder.
Yeah.
And
Scott's experiencing physical pain from this sentence.
Yeah.
Bo's making very good points, but I'm just watching Scott's face every time Bo's like, P2L, I just see Scott's soul
I love
a little bit
I love
leak out of his ear and drift off.
For every P2W guy in there's 10 P2W, P2L guys or girls that are, you're just there and you're someone else's enjoyment monkey. Like they're just, you've rented yourself out to give someone pleasure for free. And you should really think about that because that's
you're someone else's.
If it was presented to you in a certain way, you'd be like, I don't want to be that for anyone.
Yeah.
And and not even like have the benefit of looking the person in the eye and sharing that intimate experience with each other. It's like some anonymous person on the internet through a veneer of JPEGs. Like, no, this is terrible. Like, so anyways, that's all that to say, Mike switched over to Battlegrounds and he never went back. It's the best. Why is it the best thing Hearthstone has? Because everyone's playing the same game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it's random, but no one's paid for more random favor. Like the only thing they've done is you get a pick of more heroes for the pass.
Yeah.
And that's tolerable. That's okay. No big deal. Everyone still gets a hero. They're all viable.
Yeah.
So
but you can't help but think somebody there has regrets about this and wishes they would have plinked that up to make it more of a money grab.
Sometimes people need to be shaken out of their games. We don't think about them in big political. It's just a game. It's just a game. Yeah. Like no, you're cuckolding yourself. Like it's really what's happening. You might not realize it,
but you are.
So either you're paying to win because that's what winners do, or you're the loser. And so, like, that's what you are when you're like, I played for free. It's like, yeah, it's free to be a loser in real life too. Like that's how it works. that's how this works, friends. Like maybe just stop doing that, and just play a game that everyone's paid the same amount to get in, and just have fun instead of adding this dynamic to the world.
That's hilarious to me.
Now we're gonna get so many replies. I don't pay anything and I win all the time. I'll have you know.
Yeah.
I'm a winner and I feel good about it.
All of those people.
There's scenarios where that's true. I think that's doable in mid-go.
Oh, of course it is.
If you're drafting, but that's again the same as Battlegrounds.
Right.
Everyone pays their $12, same starting odds.
Yeah, you're not.
So no. I think I'm pretty. Correct.
I think you're actually pretty right.
I agree with you, Bo. I'm just cutting the comment off at the pass. We're all very proud of you.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell us that you didn't spend anything and won.
Here's what I'm saying. All of those people need to listen to my sister's segment on TMS this morning. We did a denial thing about defense mechanism. Sorry, and defense mechanisms as a science, fascinating stuff. Totally worth listening to. And it feeds right into this idea of these people like, well, I've never spent a dime and I'm loving it. I got 300 out. Those people, that is a form of defense mechanism and denial that you need to learn about because it will change the way you think. It changed the way I thought today. I'm telling you,
people who are in denial act aggressive to put the people that's accusing them of the thing they know somewhere deep down is true to make them second guess themselves.
Yeah,
basically.
and even more, there's a bunch
and
beyond
that's
that.
Prevalent all over the internet.
Oh, it's everywhere. It's the entire
everyone's
thing.
Denial issues are like rampant in Twitter and everywhere else.
Highly recommend that discussion for anyone who just wants to take a deeper look at themselves and others around them and understand this phenomenon because it's real and you don't even know you're doing it. So I recommend that, okay? The morning stream, just go check out. If you don't even want to ever hear that show ever again, fine. Just listen to the part where Wendy comes in till she leaves. A trained psychologist. She knows this stuff. And you'll be blown away.
I heard a bit about it, Scott.
Yeah.
Because I heard a little bit of that segment. I got a dumb thing I need to admit to you about this.
Do it.
So I spent not a lot of time, but a little bit of time getting new emotes for my Twitch channel.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see them in the chat.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, Scott's streaming right now. I'll just go spam him in his chat and it'll be fine. But I went there and it was Wendy's segment and I couldn't bring myself to spam my stupid new emotes while Wendy was talking about serious things. So I was just like, oh, now's not the time. And then I left.
Oh, that's too bad. You could have done it because A, we know who you are and it just would have been funny. And B, like 99.999% of people who get TMS are getting it on the podcast anyway. So you would have been a very small number of people that you would have interrupted their moment.
I gotta swing by. I haven't been to a live TMS in a while.
You should. It's fun. We have a great time in there. Yeah.
Stupid work. I can't stream.
That show's going great. You know what? 2 shows are just killing it. Actually, 3 shows are. Actually, all my shows right now are doing really well. I shaved off a bunch of stuff that wasn't performing, so never mind. Everything's going great.
That's all good.
Yeah, Core's killing it right now. It's doing amazing. Loving everything about this show. The morning stream, better than ever. Film Sack. I don't know why we're doing so good on there, but we are. Like, it's amazing. I'm really happy with the stable at the moment. And I'm not saying once I got rid of that junk pile, it was the Innocence. No, that's not what I mean. But that show is in its declining
years.
There's
a curse with the things you do. No matter what you're doing, you think about what else could I be doing. There's always a little thing, not in a bad way. It's just when you have a big appetite and a big imagination, you're like, I could be doing this and I could be doing that. And it's just good to feel in a comfortable place with where you're at and what you're doing.
Yeah, it's rare.
And we're all like that, not just podcasters or YouTubers, like you and your job right now. You might have liked it at one point, and then you're like, well, it could be doing something else, and it's just hard to just be happy with life.
Yeah, imagine being...
That's a good feeling to have.
Yeah, imagine being Ninja every day. Oh, they want me to play Fortnite. I don't want
I know, right? Like, isn't it... I've seen a few streams this week of people who've been playing their games forever, and they look sad to me.
They do. They look sad.
Like, I really like Crip, his personality. Like, Scoot went into the stream, and he's just like...
I know. It's just they're in this mode. They're on autopilot.
This is how I earned my thousands and thousands of dollars. And I'm like, man.
And I feel for him. I understand why you need to feel that way. I've felt that way with other projects and stuff. It's just... what I want for them is how I feel about prepping for Core, because I don't feel that way about this at all. Like, I so look forward to this. It is just like one of my favorite chunks of time during the week, and it's something I would do regardless of monetary reasons. Like, I just love it, and I want that for them. I think the only way they'll ever get that is, and maybe that's why some of them are chasing gambling now, but I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do, what they want, what they need to do to find happiness. I want them to be happy. Okay.
I think the thing is, there's like, it's the opposite of fraud. It's like people like to, it's where the soy face comes from. Like, it's where, like, you want to watch content where people are excited or reacting or going, nuts.
Yeah.
But like, life is not like that, where every day you feel that level of excitement.
Yeah.
It's rare. Yeah. That's, so it's just like, people looking bored is probably the normal state of gaming for the most part. And so, like, trying to make it exciting, then it's disingenuous, and then it's this weird world that's not real life, because they're trying to force like excitement.
Yeah, it bums me out.
And
because they're just building.
Now, outrage is a bottomless well. So the outrage, anyone who's an outrage reactor,
it's easy.
Always has content. You can find things that piss you off every day. It's easy to be pissed off, but to be genuinely excited or happy, that's a tougher ask.
For sure.
I say we pull the bucket up out of the outrage well and talk about Square Enix's NFT plan.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, I'm ready to get mad, boys.
Oh no! This
is just all the warm up. Let's get angry.
The bucket fell back in the well because Square Enix picked up Final Fantasy VII to sacrifice to the NFT gods.
I really don't like the words that are written.
I know.
Hey guys. I can't do it better than this article. I found the Verge's write-up of this, and I found it extremely entertaining because this was written by someone that definitely understands Final Fantasy VII and the irony for it being the target of Square Enix's NFT plans. But basically, what Square Enix has decided to do is they're going to sell a statue or a figurine of Cloud, and it's going to have an NFT component attached to it.
As well as physical trading cards, I'm reading here.
Yeah, there's some physical stuff. It even says here, I love this line. It says, in what is perhaps the most astounding case of, quote, didn't read the source material you created, unquote, Square Enix is making NFTs from Final Fantasy VII, that relative obscure indie game about a bunch of freedom fighters taking down a corporation that's killing the planet. Yeah. I mean, look, also, what I wonder is, do they have any situational awareness? NFTs are not what they were even a month ago. Like, we are in a very different time. Is this stuff they just couldn't stop? They pulled the trigger forever ago.
They already made the clouds. They have a whole warehouse full of clouds, and they gotta sell them. They gotta go.
That is insane, though. The protagonists of Final Fantasy VII are eco warriors.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
of anything they have, this is the most like the planet's important. Climate change is real. Human activity on Earth is rampant, or whatever their planet is rampant and damaging it literally.
No,
Yeah.
it is Earth. It's
Yeah.
100% Earth. I
Yeah.
know because I beat that game and it tells you it's Earth.
Oh,
Oh, I
does it?
forgot. I thought maybe it was a fictional planet. So it really is like they
It's
call
supposed
it
to
Earth.
be Earth.
Yeah, because
forgot
Sephiroth's
that.
big move at the end destroys the rest of the universe, but the wave comes at Earth at the very end, and that's how it hits you.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that.
I saw
I did
Pluto
too.
get destroyed. It was real sad.
Oh, well, then
Yeah.
I'm starting to think in the late 90s that was moved to planetoid status, not full planet.
Yeah,
right?
it's just the planetoid that he killed now.
But it's
he
back
also
now.
got Saturn and Jupiter, and he got a bunch of them. He
Well,
really
yeah,
did
those
a
are
good
legit
job.
planets.
But there is a lot of irony to this. A lot of irony with them picking Final Fantasy VII, and
I'm now afraid for the remakes. I wonder if the end of the remake story, which we're anticipating to be variants,
shit.
is a lesson about how NFTs will save the universe.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, don't let it happen.
I thought the
Shinra
planet was
right
crying out in
all-
pain, but really it was their nation's finances, and we need to repair it with NFTs. That's Barrett. Can you hear it? NFTs, they're the best.
I like that you
Look,
had to
earlier we're
say,
getting NFTs.
you had to pause and say, that's Barrett, and then keep going. That's amazing. That's amazing.
That's Barrett.
I don't know, man. I don't even know. Here's what I think I know. I think this will just fizzle, and it's not going to be a big deal. I mean, a lot of people are going to want this figurine stuff, and the physical stuff. Great, do that. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I will say they have found a way to make it more compelling with a physical component, for sure.
Yeah,
Like, that is as much as I hate NFTs and think it is stupid and think a bunch of people are getting duped, and I will continue to say that every time I have to talk about it, which sadly in 2022 is a lot. I think having a physical component to it, something you actually buy, I think does make it slightly more appealing.
I get
Yeah,
it.
that means that they don't want it shields them from the risk of just selling straight up NFTs, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're gonna buy them because our fans can't help themselves but get the collectibles, and like it almost seems like the NFTs are just gonna be a value add. Like it's to sell a Happy Meal. You put a cheap plastic toy in. No one cares what happens to that toy in 2 months.
That's
2
what
weeks.
the NFT
Like,
is. You really
yeah.
want the cloud statue, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we'll keep our eye on it, but I think I hate the term nothing burger, but this burger's got nothing in it ultimately.
I love that the article ends with, but the planet's dying, Cloud. We ain't got that kind of time.
Yeah.
Like I said, whoever wrote this article really knew what was going on with it. A big shout out to them for recognizing
let's
the
say their name
situation.
if you think they're so great.
Yeah,
Let's
we
just
should give them their it's
that's
Ash
who at the
Parrish.
Verge.
Ash Parrish is their name.
Ash
Also
Parrish and Richard Lawler.
Richard Lawler.
He likes to lull.
Yeah.
He's a luller.
These two people clearly know about the subject matter and weren't just saddled with hey, talk about their NFT. It's more than that.
Oh, I mean, why would they make Final Fantasy VII NFTs?
I know, it's so dumb. Well, I mean, it's all, but no, it makes perfect sense because it's the most popular iconic in the series.
No,
for
I know. but
everybody.
just no one in the boardroom put their. I guess there's that meme where someone puts their hand up in the boardroom and they throw them out of the building. Like, is that, what about the fact that it's eco-conscious? This game.
Yeah. See ya.
Outside shot of the Shinra building and just someone
Or-
going, oh.
Homelander just lasers them.
Yep.
Any questions?
Yep. That sounds right to me. All right. Here's some good news. Some actual people are making video game news. Warframe
Oh,
devs
thank
Digital
goodness.
Extremes announced a new game called SoulFrame. And if you're a fan of Warframe, maybe you'll be a fan of this. My first note was when I saw the screenshot, I went, oh, look, there's a samurai guy.
Yeah, I think Warframe's pretty samurai, Japanese influence kind of game. You're ninjas, and I think they're going to carry that through to this medieval version of Warframe.
Yeah. But it looks like
Apparently,
they're...
there's going to be more melee focused and less lasery focused, but I'm sure there's still going to be a lot of sweet movement and combat.
So
in
is
it.
that soul part of the SoulFrame? It's a little on the nose. Here's our Souls game, kind of. Isn't that what they're saying?
I feel like it's probably going to be a continuation, their same universe, because the whole frame deal is you're an operator that it's basically a human-sized mecha, right? A frame.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be something along the lines, but it'll be more magical, mystical, and I think like animals. Like, so the trailer features animals quite a bit. There's a large elk, and there's a bird, and I think that likely it's going to integrate into it. The trailer's actually pretty sweet, and I think it was just noteworthy because DE is like basically made one game for the past 10 years. Like they don't make a lot of different games, so it's kind of a big. It's a big news drop for them to actually be working on something else, and
yeah, Digital
I think
Extremes.
also like they have a dedicated player base for Warframe even now. So this for someone maybe who didn't dig Warframe's style, maybe the sci-fi, or we've often talked about the art's kind of like take it or leave it. I think it's not a turn on for everyone. They could potentially, make a game that is more mature because
Naked Frame. Look at this guy.
They're a seasoned developer and in a genre that more people like. It's still got that it's almost like a Final Fantasy VII vibe. Or if you see this like Inquisitor's armor, looks high tech. Like it's got. Like it's not high tech, but it's like definitely not true to life fantasy, right? You're like, this is very like elaborate, super heavy.
Alexander wore when he realized he had conquered everything. He wore a sweet bubble helmet and cool cords.
Yeah. So I think you're gonna get this dissonance of like quasi cyberpunk sci-fi into fantasy. I don't know, it just looks interesting.
It does.
No idea what the gameplay is like. It is just some dude and random music and stuff, but it's still early in development, but I thought it was exciting.
It does say an MMO. Do we think it's more than just a 4-player co-op?
Warframe is arguably an MMO too, but maybe just not massive environments. Although there are like city hubs nowadays in Warframe in the new zones where you'll see a lot of other people in them, so I don't think it's going to be persistent world. I'm skeptical that it would be like Azeroth's persistent world style, but this it does look. I don't know. It looks cool. It has the potential to be very interesting.
Got some good butt tech going on with this guy. Good
a lot of butt in this trailer.
Yeah, lots of butt.
See, he's got a robot arm, right? Like, so it's like it's fantasy, but it's definitely like.
I didn't notice the arm because I was just focused on the butt.
Yeah, and the moose.
Right.
This moose is really going places.
And the graffiti moose.
Yeah, graffiti moose.
Yeah, this moose is great.
Yeah, it's a good moose. Good moose tech.
He's gonna fight something soon. I don't know if you want to watch the whole thing, but a little bit later.
It's a long trailer.
I want to see him fight his urge to not wear pants.
Yeah, it's a 5-minute trailer, which is pretty long for. The stuff.
I think that's after the fight, maybe.
I know this is all in engine, because it says so. That's impressive. It looks really nice.
Yeah,
I think it looks good. Yeah. I'm interested in stuff they do. Warframe continues to be a game that I feel a lot of different things about. Like I play it and I'm like, this game feels so close to being the greatest game of all time. And yet lands in a place where I just don't ever play it for very long.
Yeah,
like
same.
I really love it in some ways, and for whatever reason, I just never play it.
The design aesthetic still works for me. I think it looks so cool.
They updated Movement like quite a few years ago. Movement 2.0, I think they called it. Really lets you jet around and like jump off walls and wall run and stuff like that. Yeah. It's a really good game, but I can understand it. It's like. It being off-putting, like it's definitely there is an element of off-puttingness to some of its art and its frames and stuff like that. But
I found a frame that I really liked. I can't remember the name, but it was like the spore person. Like you infected people and then you activated spores.
Oh yeah, they had a lot of damage over time stuff. Those guys are cool.
Saren, I believe.
Saren.
That's the frame. Yeah. There's a poison. There's like a poison frame. Yeah. All the frames have distinct like either animal or some sort of reference. Like there's a music one called Octavia, I think, that has plays a kind of a weird music AOE thing, and they're themed really neat, but they look abstract. You don't get the level of detail, say like a Warcraft character or a League of Legends character or anything like that. It's very like it's distinctly its own thing, which is I think where I give it the biggest props. Like it's not generic, same old Lord of the Rings adjacent kind of thing. So. I think SoulFrame is going to be an interesting entry into the space. We won't see anything for a while. I just thought it was, they're actually making a different game, and that's kind of big news.
That is big news. The biggest news of the week, though, easily. John, I know you're stoked about this.
No, it is.
On July 29th, finally, Game Pass gets the indie game John said, and I quote, "It's up its own ass with how indie it is," unquote. Inside, finally.
Yep.
On Game Pass.
Everybody can experience 2 hours of this. And I don't just mean 2 hours and then you'll quit. I mean 2 hours and then you've completed the game and the experience.
Yeah.
This is the follow-up by the people who made Limbo, a game I actually really like.
Yeah.
I've played through all of this game. I think this game wants you to just dote on it for how indie it is constantly, and it is the definition to me of up its own ass indie, even to the point where it has an ambiguous ending where it's like, well, what did the ending and the journey mean to you?
Yeah.
Shut up. That's what it means.
It doesn't look that bad. Well, you played it.
I respect it because you played it. Yeah, I played it too, but I didn't finish it. I just wasn't pulled by it. But John, the fact that John finished it and still thinks this about it.
It looks very nice. It's very atmospheric, but it definitely hinges a lot on the like kind of early Lost effect of like, what's that back there? You don't know? I don't know. What does it mean to you? I want to know what you think it means. No, I'm not going to tell you what it means. I want to know what you think it means.
Yeah.
Like, it just does a lot of that, and
can't just say like it's an artistic experience and it is what it is. You
like
know,
Bo with Black and White last week, I just don't have any tolerance for it. Like, if you want to make a statement about like science and shit, just tell me what your stance is. Don't try and artistically show it to me and have me venture a guess so that you can go, I don't know. What does it mean to you? I don't have to write a reason if you think of one for me. I just hate it. I hate it so much. I refunded that game so fast, though I did feel a little guilty because I had beaten it. But you know what? I also beat it in 2 hours.
Yeah, you beat it in the limit that Steam makes you have, so you're fine.
Yeah.
I get it. I've long decided that I wasn't so as offended by it, but I also didn't finish it. So in a way, I'm, I kind of agree because I didn't like Limbo. I felt really compelled to beat that game.
I mean, but like its existence is not that offensive, right? Like you didn't enjoy it, you hated it. But
I'm
like,
definitely overhyping how bad
this over take Marvel Snap or this. You can only have one in your universe. You're probably not you're going to go this direction.
That would be funny. Now hold on, let's answer that question, John. If all you get is whatever Marvel Snap's going to be at launch, and that's it forever. There's 2 games. You get that or you get Inside. You only get to choose one, and that's it. Which way do you go?
I'd probably take Marvel Snap because then I can just be the person that's like, well, I don't spend any money on it. It's fine. Like, I just, as opposed to, I played it for 2 hours. It didn't tell me anything about its world, but it wanted me to make up a bunch of story stuff. It does have a bit of an interesting twist near the end. That actually it feels like other games later came and riffed on in a really cool way. Its ending is definitely like its ending segments is definitely its high point, but just I didn't like that journey. It was like Limbo, but instead of being compelled to see where things were going, I was just annoyed.
It's a bit of an unfair comparison because Marvel Snap, the fun never ends. Limbo's 2 hours and you
yeah. And then
Marvel Snap, there'll always be new cards and new things happening and new opponents. Yeah. It's not a fair comparison.
Yeah.
But because I would say overall, like for the gameplay potential, either I play the same game over and over again, or I actually have something with some novelty.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a no. Everyone should pick Marvel Snap in that scenario, even if it has predatory practices, because that's your only game. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, you can compare this game to Limbo. I would take Limbo 100 times over this. Like, I just don't think this game had very much that compelled me that was legitimately interesting. But a lot of people love this game. Let me be clear. I'm once again unpopular opinion, John. So if you can give it a try and tell me how wrong I am on July 29th.
I'm pretty sure I think it still has overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, and it is kind of universally beloved, but John has a very specific,
because the trick of what does it mean to you still works on people.
Yeah.
Hey, Inception, what does that ending mean to you? What did you take away from the ending?
Oh, you just don't like open-ended things.
No, because it doesn't even have it. Like, it has a clear-cut end. Like, I know
Inception
how this game ends. It's just there's no actual story to it. You just walk to the right except occasionally you divert to the left a little bit to solve a puzzle, and then at the very end, the game ends. Like, that's it. Like, things just happen to you.
You should write a letter to GamePro about this.
My dearest Martha. Yep, I
Dear
can hear it now.
Game Pro, I am outraged that you gave an overwhelmingly positive review to Inside.
I can hear
All
it now.
You do is
Well,
walk
that
to the
reminds me,
right.
if we're going to dive into these, Bo, do you have a movement 2.0 you need to take care of or anything? Any kind of,
yeah, I'm going for pee break, guys.
all right,
I'll
we're
be right
gonna
back.
we're gonna
Yeah.
take a quick break. Everybody else should pee because I have to pee. We'll be right back
All
with
right.
the show. Coming back
back
to
and
it.
in effect.
That's right, everybody. We're back. Okay, we were going to dive into some old GamePro issues of Dear Martha's. That's what we're doing next. So sit back and enjoy. Brian. I work with too many Brians. John, what's the deal here? Give me a setup. Anything special? We just going for it.
We're just gonna go for it. We're gonna do one letter.
All right, one letter. It's totally fine. Here we go.
My dearest Martha, a while ago I read a headline on GamePro.com that said politicians were trying to make it a felony to sell violent games to kids under 18. They're trying to take everything fun away from us teenagers. Video games are the toys of our generation. How can anybody really feel right about taking away toys from kids? The toys they had when they were kids were just as bad. The only argument I've heard from politicians is that video games cause children to start school shootings. If they weren't so busy pointing fingers, they might assess the real problem. I'm only 15 years old, and I've been playing violent games ever since I was 7, when my dad bought a shareware package that contained Doom. Now, by the logic of politicians, parents, and complete idiots, I should be the next Hitler. The only reason I can think as to why I'm not the next Hitler is that I, along with almost every other gamer, can tell the difference between fantasy and reality. If I see Ryu and Akuma fighting the battle of the century, that doesn't mean I'm Akuma, my teacher is Ryu, and now I'm going to fight him to the death. The way a person thinks and acts is determined by the experiences they go through and the people who surround them. In my opinion, you learn how to tell fantasy from reality from your parents. Parking your kids in front of the TV isn't raising them. It's tossing them aside and letting Mr. Clean and the toilet duck show them how to live. Yours in this life and the next, Tarek C.
Tarek C. Oh, man. So, wait. This is 2002 GamePro. How old do you think he was? He says teenager, but what are we thinking here?
He says 15.
He said
so-
15. Okay.
Yeah.
20 years. He's 35. Where is? I was just about thinking the same. Where is that guy? Tarek, are you listening?
Yeah. No, he's more
Where are
than
you, man?
35.
What's
Wait.
going on?
Canadian.
25.
He's from
Wait, 35.
Bo's neck of the woods.
Oh, then he
Letter
definitely
from
probably
Vancouver,
didn't shoot
Canada.
up a school. Because I was going to ask. Did he go?
Yeah, I think he
It'd be
did
funny if
okay.
he's like he's in jail now, boys.
Yeah, I think he did all right. Tarek. Actually, that was really. I thought that was actually really good. Kind of had a bunch of good points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't
Imagine
bad.
Yeah.
I was curious because I wanted to do another one that was from the same time as our last one to see if we got a bunch more like I hate cell shaded link letters.
Yeah.
But it must have been a case of like depending on when magazines came out because I found almost none of them.
Yeah.
But I did check the Nintendo Power to see if Nintendo Power had anything to say about it
Yeah.
because you know they're a little biased over there at Nintendo Power.
Yeah.
But I discovered in doing it that I cannot do letters from Nintendo Power.
Why?
It is just too wholesome.
Oh.
Like Nintendo Power letters are just like a window into an innocent time. They're just very excited about games. In fact, if you want to do, I'll do one Nintendo Power letter real quick.
Okay, why
if
not?
You want to do the song?
Let's do it. Here we go.
Song one more time. My dearest Martha, I think for a right away topic, you should give fans a chance to remember the absolute favorite games of all Nintendo consoles. It would probably catch the attention of most and give you guys a chance to work like you never worked before. By that I mean sorting out your favorite answers, of course. Yours in this life and the next, Joey.
It almost sounds like someone wrote that at the staff and
It's
put that in there.
just like,
Yeah.
it's just nothing but people. Like, the whole first section is like, hey, here's the characters we think should be in Super Smash Brothers.
Mhm.
Then it's like, so we even did one time where it was somebody saying, what is an echidna? Because that's what Knuckles is.
Right.
But like, even the Nintendo Power version of this letter is, so we all know one of Sonic's best friends is Knuckles the Echidna. Like, everything about their letter section is so positive.
I love it.
That's on brand for Nintendo, though.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It's
crazy.
wholesome. The world is a
Mhm.
nice, peaceful place. We're not going to bring up that nasty debate stuff.
No,
here for
no.
our readers.
Yeah.
There's a letter about taking Kirby for granted. Like, it's
Game,
just
Game Pro
it's
is
so
for
nice.
professionals, professional gamers. That's what it's
Yeah.
called,
I
Game
also
Pro.
I also agree with him that Kirby is taken for granted or
Yeah.
whatever. I love Kirby.
You think that's going to get Game of the Year? I hear like because all the talk's Elden Ring, but yeah, apparently Kirby's
Great. It's a very
Yeah.
good game. I also have been playing Kirby. So the very first NES Kirby, which was the first Kirby. Oh no, I guess the first Kirby was a Game Boy game, right? I think. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
I
about
think
that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They made an
even
NES
own that.
version of it, which is the one I originally played way back in the day. And then I found here recently that the game existed as a GBA re-release, but remastered. So it looked like 16-bit and much more colorful and animated and everything. I've been playing that. That game's great. And I'll tell you shortly where I played it. Why, it was on this device. Everyone, we're going to talk about the games we played this week, and I'm going to be as brief as I can about a thing that's hard to be brief about. But I got in the mail this gigantic piece of furniture you see in my hand right here. This is a case. I didn't even know it came with a case. You get a free zipped up case that comes with your Steam Deck from Valve. After being on a waiting list for a year, I finally got mine, and there it is. It is gigantic, as you can see. It's bigger than my head. That's the
Wow,
better
it looks like a
comparison.
Game Gear, like a big old Game Gear.
It is, except with the Game Gear, all you had for screen was a little tiny bit in the middle.
Yep.
This thing's got a full 7+ inch big wide LED screen on the front. And, everybody knows what Steam Deck is at this point, so I'm not going to get into all those details. But if you want to know what I thought of it, it really comes from playing the game. So I was out of town for a couple of days for my birthday. This came the day before we left, which was perfect. And I very quickly loaded a bunch of stuff on it, took it with me to kind of come back and tell you guys what I thought. First of all, that Kirby game, just as a small note, plays amazingly on here. That's not why you buy this hardware, is to play retro games, but it turns out to be an excellent retro game machine, which I'll get to in a minute. So my experience so far has been this now feels required for me to own. It doesn't feel gimmicky. It doesn't feel like a once in a while thing. My sense that, hey, I've got 2,000 games on Steam I already own. I've already got a built-in library of games, many, many, many of which use controller already, and even some that don't still work on here nice because of those little those little thumb pads, which I'll get to in a minute. These little doohickeys here. Lots of kind of different kinds of games can play on it. Anyway, so I took the following with me. I took Gordian Quest. I'm happy to say that it works. I won't say it's the optimal way to play that game. I still think that game is better suited to mouse and keyboard unless they introduce some sort of full controller support. Because as it stands, you just use the little thumb things, which work like a mouse. And it's playable, and it was still fun. And I played a bunch of Gordian Quests on the road, but I don't think it's the optimal way to play it. So for those wondering if you can play those types of games, absolutely you can. You're gonna wish you had the mouse and keyboard, though. And you could, of course, hook a mouse and keyboard up to it and it'll work fine. But anyway, I took games like Dirt Rally 2 because I wanted to see graphically what it could do. I took a little game called Alba, Cat Quest 2, Robo Quest, Gunfire Reborn, Aperture Desk Job, which is a thing that Valve made for free for this thing that is like a showcase of what it can do. And if you don't play that, at least go watch somebody's commentary-free video of it on YouTube, because that Aperture Desk Job thing is great. It's set in the Portal universe. Cave Johnson's in there. Freaking.
Oh, nice.
It's amazing.
Oh, I love Cave Johnson.
You got to watch it. Like, it's not even worth worrying about whether you play it for the first time, because it's really rudimentary what you play. It's more of an interactive story. The story's great, and it makes me wish they were making more Portal shit. Just pisses me off that they're not. It's so good. Anyway, I played that. It's a nice showcase of what the device is all about. Broforce, older game, 2015, but man, Broforce is good on here. Like, what I'm saying is these aren't games where I'm like, oh, let's really push the limits. This was games like what will play well on the road and in a mobile way, and in my lap, in my hands, not on a screen, not requiring being plugged into everything. Like, how will these kinds of games play? And I'm happy to say they all played wonderfully. But games like Noida, Star Renegades, amazing turn-based kind of JRPG sort of 16-bit looking thing that I love.
Yeah.
Love that game. Played that a lot more than I thought I would. John, I got 20 minutes till dawn based on our conversation last week. I love Bo Schwartz like a brother, but he's wrong about the art style of that game.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not gonna, it's not a hill I'm going to die on. It's a personal preference thing.
Yeah.
I'm totally willing to say, like, don't listen to me on
It
that.
actually looks pretty good, I think. It uses the lack of color to its benefit because when there is color, it's meaningful to the gameplay. But anyway, if you're all wondering if that's a good, I don't want to call it a knockoff. If you want to say that's a good Vampire Survivor like, it absolutely is. And I like it in a couple of ways a little bit more, the Vampire Survivor. First of all, it's not a bunch of reused assets, which some people really like that, but I don't know, whatever. This is all original stuff. Instead of having a life bar, you have life hits, and those can change depending on class and also power-ups in the game. So you have little hearts that represent how many times you can get hit before you die. So it's just a small change there. It's just slightly different strategy. You also aim and fire in this game. You don't just walk around and auto fire, which I think I like a little better because it just adds gameplay to the game, and a little more skill set stuff. So anyway, it's more like a dual stick shooter in that way. Other than that, it's very, very similar to the way it works. You pick up all the little XP that drops. It gives you a bunch of choices of perks to move on to the next thing. The whole goal is to survive 20 minutes, which sounds easy, but it's not. There's also a 10-minute mode if you're in a hurry and you just want to get in there. It kind of accelerates everything. And there's an unlimited mode, which I haven't tried yet. I unlocked, I think, 5 classes and 3 weapons, which are 2 separate unlocks, and you get currency every time you play, so you can always get unlocking something. It's a cool one of these. I'm not surprised it's reviewing well. I think it's very rad. I played Orc Massage. Just kidding. Don't have it. Didn't play it.
So
what else?
It's a shame. People are really chomping at the bit for us to try Orc Massage one day.
Well, yeah, okay. So I actually bought Orc Massage a few weeks ago.
Oh!
But I booted it up and I just couldn't play it.
Why?
It's so bad. Like like I logged in and it was like blah blah. You know, they do the visual novel thing. I got through like 3 screens and I was like, this is so. I wasted like $20. I just
no.
And that's why I didn't bring it up because I didn't do anything. I don't have anything meaningful to say about it. I'm like, it's such a piece of junk, you guys. Like, don't even bother.
Did you get a return?
No. I figured at some point it would be. I figured at some point it would be content, but a few weeks have gone by, and now we're just bringing it up, and I'm like, there are for sure people who listen are friends with me on Steam who can clearly see your friend Gorath owns Orc Massage. Like, it's just going to seem like I'm lying about it. So I at some point I will play the game and review it for y'all. I don't think I'm going to live stream it on Pornhub or anything.
Wow,
that's just a joke. But
no,
yeah.
Can you stream on Pornhub? I didn't know that was a thing. Can you stream? Oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, you can have sex right now and stream it on there, and you're off to the races. I
knew you could do like archive video up there, like your own stuff, like YouTube lets you. But I didn't know you could stream live. That's crazy. What if you killed somebody in the middle of your session? What are they going to do?
Well, I don't know how it works. I haven't done it. I assume you're able to because I've seen other videos on there.
Does that happen often, Scott?
Where people kill each other?
I'm not clear. I haven't looked into it, so I
just feel like there are seedy corners to the porn industry where somebody might have slipped and stabbed somebody in the eye with something and they died on set. That's all I'm saying. I don't know.
We did talk about our.
I mean, it's happened on movie sets, like
sure,
but
sure. Like that Western with the Alec Baldwin deal that just happened.
Yeah.
What a rotten deal that is, man. Yeah, that whole thing.
Horrible.
Anyway, what else? So that game's great. 20 minutes till dawn. I'm just going to put it out there as a good one of those. I think it's actually my preferred way to play it. But I also played Vampire Survivors on there a bunch. And by the way, everything I'm mentioning here has cross save. I wanted to pull that new like Animal Crossing like that I talked about last week, the Dinkum game. I wanted to play that. It plays. It's fine. But it's an early access, and they don't yet have implemented cloud save. So I was like, well, I don't want to share my progress. I'm not going to worry about it. So that's why I didn't bring that one up. I played House Flipper on there. 100% works great on there. Fantastic house flipper experience. Kind of dangerous how good it is on that. Darksiders Genesis, remember this game? What a perfect freaking mobile 7 point whatever inch freaking game that is to play. It's perfect for this. I'm going to play that game. I'm going to beat Darksiders Genesis finally.
Oh man.
Yep.
That's going on the list right next to Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima, yep. I wish I could play that here. I guess I could if there is a way to do remote play on your PS5, but I haven't figured it out yet. Anyway, Cloudpunk, I've mentioned that before. It's that weird voxely cyberpunk looking world thing. Do lots of deliveries, big story, beautiful atmosphere. That game runs.
That was Square Enix's NFT fans.
Nope, that is definitely not it. It is smooth as silk and looks great, and I played a ton of that. The one game I was surprised how much I played was Skeletal. I said Skeletal.
He got you.
You got me.
I didn't
Bo.
get anybody. That's
Bo
proper
got
word.
you.
No, that was the
proper
long.
word.
That was the long.
Skeleto's proper.
That was the long con you got me with, because for years now you've been saying skeletal and we all laugh and whatever, and we say skeletal like you're supposed to, or at least we think we're supposed to. But it eventually got me. It got me. All right, Skeletal
No, you
Avenger.
said a real word. Skeletal's a real pronunciation.
Bo just clearly living in Scott's head rent free. Just immediately jumped in and was like,
English
Skeletal.
English is living in his head rent free.
That's true. It's the only language I know. You're totally right.
Yeah.
So Skeletal Avengers.
It doesn't sound as good. Like, I'm gonna just be honest. Skeletal Avenger does not sound as good as Skeletal Avenger.
I kind of agree, actually. You know what? I'm changing it. Today's the day. Skeletal from now on. That's it. I've caved.
Better. It
Yeah,
sounds better.
It is better. Bo's right. He's been right the whole time. Skeletal Avenger. It's a roguelike.
Skeletal shake.
Where you go around as a little skeleton guy and you fight through dungeons, roguelike, and you chuck your head at things and it comes back to you, kind of boomerang
So
style.
is that good? I've seen this.
It's very
before.
good.
I've been interested.
The gameplay's amazing. The gameplay's really, really good. I think it has a kind of a sparse look to it, which may turn some people off, but I think the game itself, really strong. I reviewed it somewhere last year when it was in early access, but it's out now and fantastic. That game really hooked me in for these playthroughs. I played a ton of Skeletal Avenger, which I will now call from now on. Everybody wants to know how Final Fantasy VII Remake plays. Wonderfully. Smooth as pie. Great. No issues. Beautiful. I don't have a single bad thing to say about the time I spent in Final Fantasy VII Remake. And, of course, all my stuff saved and moved back and forth. The controller on this thing is really good. Like, these thumbsticks are legit. And that's how I'm playing it on PC anyway. I'm not playing with a mouse and keyboard, so it's perfect. Perfect for that. Let's see. I mentioned that one. Let's see. Sonic and All-Stars Racing Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, which is like their Mario Kart game, but for the Sonic and Sega universe. So you got like the crazy taxi guy, and you got.
I've heard it's very good.
It's very good.
To be fair, I've heard it's really, really solid.
It's excellent. It's a very good game. It's older now. It's like 2012 or something, but that played great, and I just wanted to feel what it would be like to play a proper kart game on a handheld in the way I might with a Nintendo game and compare the feeling, and it was all very good. Rogue Legacy 2 is fantastic on this thing. Played a bunch of that. I played the Spyro Remaster Trilogy on this thing. So those are the games I played. I didn't have...
How are you feeling about Spyro Remaster? Because that's a game that I think I recommended to you last week.
You did.
I don't think you had played it.
I played it. I think I may have played a little, or maybe I just got a look at it finally and went, "Whoa, they really went crazy with the graphic overhaul." Like it's a beautiful, it's a remake basically. It's like not even a remaster. I think they're underselling it when they say remaster. So yeah, I did play a bit of that last week, but getting it on here, it's just kind of perfect for a device like this. It's, in terms of the gameplay, it's a throwback to simpler times of 3D, platformers, and there's always been a real charm about those Spyro games. It's very fun, and it played just without a dip in frame rate or anything. It ran great, no issues. I didn't have any tech issues for anything, with one exception, which I'll get to. Yeah,
oh, okay. I was
one
say,
exception,
like that's crazy.
and it's not a game exception. It's a thing that they're apparently going to patch soon. So I'll explain. But and then I wanted to at least mention this. I talked about it on Play Retro, but this is an amazing retro device. I have a ton of old ROMs for every possible console or device or PC thing you can think of. And there's this website called Sorry, let me get this right. emudeck.com. And it's 100% dedicated to the Steam Deck and getting retro up and running on it. And it's so simple, it almost hurt how easy this was. I went in, there's like 5 easy steps. Basically, you can restart this thing in desktop mode, and it's a full-blown Linux desktop, this device. And it's, whatever flavor Valve's version of Linux is. Anyway, you go into that thing, and it's, mouse and keyboard if you want, or you can use these little thumb pads to move stuff around. And you literally just go to a website on the device, download this installer, run it, does all the work for you. And then you load your ROMs in there. I put an SD card in here with about, 128 gig worth of space. So I'm not even filling the main drive. It's just the SD add-on. And all my ROMs are in there, all categorized and whatever. I run all that, then I restart in game mode, they call it, which just puts you back in the Steam Deck mode of, the big screen interface and all that. And now suddenly Steam, and this is the best part, Steam has built into it, even on desktop, they've got all the interfaces and like front ends for retro games. And things like Emulation Station, which is the most popular one, is just a thing you go get for free on Steam. It's just a thing you download. I download that, bam, I've got it all. I click play, I go in, GBA, there's 1,000 games, SNES, 1,000 games, and they all play with their shaders and all the stuff you expect, and you can do save states, and it's just was the easiest thing I've ever done with retro in my life. And I love it. I freaking love that. So that's now my go-to retro device, and I don't think I need anything else ever again. Okay, so here are my only 2 complaints about the device.
Okay.
Number 1, this is a thing they can fix, and they say they're going to fix in an upcoming patch. When you go into desktop mode, they don't have native drivers for the controller or for the pads that you use as like a mouse unless Steam is running in desktop mode. So some things require you to close Steam to use it. Well, if you do that, that means you better have a mouse and keyboard hooked up, or else you're not going to be able to control anything within the desktop. Geez. So it's a little annoying. For everything I had to do for retro, it was no big deal because you didn't have to exit Steam. It just worked. So I just did it that way, and it was fine. That's going to get fixed, and they've been doing this pretty regularly, like adding new functionality, saying, oh, okay, in desktop mode, now you can do this and this and this. So they're giving people more tools, and it's all good. Not much of a complaint, but just a little thing I ran into. Second thing, or the only other thing really that bugs me, this is a standard LED screen, a good one, and like most things with LED screens, they're fine. Your computer monitors that are LED, whatever, they're fine. This has the same problems they do. Like, let's say you got a game that the screen goes black, but because it's backlit, you're still going to get some light leak on the edges a little bit. Yeah. And some places might be a little higher and a little lower over here, or whatever. Like, again, very common with LED technology. This is not an OLED screen. I just find myself, when those moments happen, I go, oh, I wish this was OLED. That's really a weird complaint because we would be paying a lot more for this device if it was OLED.
Yeah, a little bit.
So again, not much of a complaint. That's why I'm so happy with it, because that's all I have to say. Bad. Battery life's been great. If you're playing a really heavy 3D game, you're going to get less battery life, but I'm still getting more than my Switch does for most games. And for less, like the retro stuff I talked about, or something like Broforce or something, where it's a little less 3D intensive, I get way more battery life on those. And charging's a cinch. It's also got the charger on top, not underneath, which is weird on the Switch. So that having that on top is out of the way, and you can have it plugged in while you're playing. There is a fan when things get hot, but it's really quiet.
See, that was the thing I had heard. I had heard the fan was loud.
It's not loud at all. I don't think it is. I mean, it sounds. Yeah. You can hear it going. Oh, let's see if I can get it. Oh no, it's off now. But it's just like a little like. It's hard to explain. Like a quiet laptop. Doesn't bother me at all. And knowing what's in there and what it does, it's not that shocking that any of this is the case. But I freaking fell in love with it, you guys. I really like this device. My next thing is I've got a little hub coming that's going to allow me to take the single USB-C Thunderbolt port, which you currently charge with, or also do data with, or whatever, if you want. it'll go out to a hub, and then I'll have this connect to my TV via HDMI on that hub, and I'll get to see what it's like to play this stuff on a TV, like right from this device. And then I'll Bluetooth some other controllers in, just kind of see what that experience is like so I can talk about it. But yeah, like if my goal was to not have something in bed that will keep me up too late, this was a mistake. This was a horrible mistake.
Yeah, no doubt. Right?
That sounds awesome.
Because the number one thing that you get with this,
good.
and we talked about it last week, I know, but when you open this up, you realize this isn't a typical purchase where you go, okay, well, now I got to go buy games for it. And I can maybe afford one or two because this damn machine costs so much or whatever. Instead, this one's like, open it up. You're immediately presented with your massive library you already own and have had for 15 years, and all of it plays. And they also give you a really great categorization that says, you know, they're literally, Valve is testing every game they have to tell you whether or not it works great on there, or if there's some caveats, or if it doesn't work at all for some reason or whatever. I haven't run into any of those, but there are some where it'll say, this is great in these 4 categories, but the text on the screen's a little small for a portable. They'll tell you that, but it still plays, so you can try it. I ran into, I forgot to say, I played Grim Dawn, and that was the problem I ran into. All the text's too small.
Yeah.
So I guess they're working on
Grim Dawn's UI seemed like, even on my PC, I was like, oh, this is what they're going with. I think I cranked it up immediately. Like, Grim Dawn really expects you to have good eyesight.
They do, yeah. Which bummed me out a little, at least on this thing, that it did that. But there were others like Genesis, Darksiders Genesis lets you fiddle with the font size and all that stuff all you want. So some games, you know, it's going to vary. But some games are just straight up like green check, you're all good on all the categories. And sure enough, it's totally right. They just run. No issues, no problems. If it has a game where you may have to use the thumb pad to do a drop-down menu or to enter your name or something, it'll tell you that before you even download the thing. So you can filter all of Steam, including your library or just the store or whatever, and have it say, I only want to see stuff that is got the green check mark for all the categories. Or I only want to see stuff that says it works but it may have some caveats. Or just eliminate anything that says it doesn't work. Like, it's got all these sorts of filters that are really easy to use. It just made for an amazing experience. I can't believe how they nailed this for me, given how splish-splashy their previous hardware efforts were.
Yeah.
You know, the controller and the Steam box and the Steam Link and all that. They all had some neat ideas with them, but just bad execution. The controller was such a weird idea. No 2 sticks. Like, what are you even thinking? Like, so many weird choices, but this feels like they really thought about it. And I'm in love with this device. I just freaking love it. So, and it's massive. I'm telling you, it's a 1.5 pounds, but that may not sound like much. I feel like I'm holding a small dog.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but that's what I want. That's what I want. I want something beefy.
How does it compare to Switch? Is it like 2 switches, 2.5 switches?
Do I have my Switch down here? Shoot, it's not here, so I can't. Well, no, I have something to compare it. So I have something that's
because the Switch is pretty light overall, right? Like,
this is that's about the size of my Switch, right? My light. So here's the comparison.
Okay, so it definitely looks heavier.
Definitely bigger. But what you're trading, like, you know, one of the problems with portables of any kind, Switch is one of them, is the controls sort of feel not flimsy, but like, you know, they're not the best sticks. They're going to be.
It almost feels like a hollow box sometimes.
A little bit, yeah. Like a little plasticky, a little toy-like or whatever. This feels solid state and chunky, and the controller feels like these are tight sticks. They feel like they're on a 360 or better controller.
Like when you get an iPad, you feel it. It feels weighty and solid, right? Versus like a Galaxy, which can feel like a plastic case. Like,
yeah, there you go.
Different feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so you're saying that it's more on the iPad side of things, where it feels like a solid piece of equipment.
And for those that are worried, if you have small hands, I don't think you have too much to worry about. The one concern I kept hearing was, wow, that D-pad and these buttons are so far to the edge. It feels good though. It feels like I don't know, it feels right to me.
I think your mileage may vary depending on hand size and different products, right? So some people do with small hands, maybe
for sure
might have it more of an issue.
For sure. And it's got those buttons on the back that I don't know what I'll ever use them for. The what do they call those? R5 and R4. Left and right, they're on the Pro. What's the Xbox one called? John has it.
The Xbox Controller Pro.
Whatever that's
Pro
called.
Controller.
Yeah,
right?
they have those under ones. Those are on here as well. I don't know what games I'll play that'll use it. The Portal demo thing did use it.
It's popular for first-person shooters, I believe. I believe it's like a reactionary, like pro, like considered a pro thing to do. I don't know. I'm not that good at video games, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, I may use them, I may not. They're not intrusive or a problem, but it's nice to know they're there if I need them. The tech on the two pads is actually kind of impressive. It's all haptic, so I can feel my mouse move as I move it. It has haptics in general. It's also got gyroscoping, and you're not really going to matter unless you have a game that uses it. I got into VR chat for a while in there, Bo. I thought you'd like that. Just messed around.
You played VR chat on your handheld?
Yeah. It works great, just like it does on flat screen desktop. It's not the same as being immersed in the helmet.
It's definitely like far from the same experience.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's not even close, but it worked, and I saw a lot of psycho people doing weird shit, so that confirmed it.
Yeah, you missed it. Me and Crofton got in.
I was going to try to get in
talk about
that
it during
day.
my section, but yeah, it's. Yeah,
I was going to try to get in.
It's got to experience VR thing. We didn't get much done, so maybe we'll get.
We got to do that.
Still want to do a room crawl at some point, and just have people come in. But I'm still doing research for which rooms.
Nice. The only other two things I haven't done was you can run Discord on this thing, and I don't know how to do it yet. It's probably just install Linux version of Discord. Probably, I don't know. Because I don't think there's a native Discord client in the Steam store, but I think there's a way around it. Anyway, I'll look it up. But then the other one was there is a way to do Game Pass. Until Microsoft makes a native app, you just do a browser type thing. And it works really well, apparently. I just haven't gone through the hoops to do it. You just have to go desktop mode, download the Edge beta for Linux browser, and then you go to the thing, log in, and you're done. And then there's a way to shortcut it into the main interface, and then you go out of desktop mode, and then from then on you're just playing Game Pass through Steam. So I'm going to mess with that this week, get that working. Apparently that works really well and like flawlessly and no issues other than the initial setup. So anyway, I really like it. I guess that's my big takeaway is I was skeptical about just whether they would get all the little details right on making it easy to get in, to get out, to play, to sync those experiences over desktop and all that. And it's all great. I haven't had any problems at all. I had no game slow down on me. But, again, this thing's only running at 1280 by 700 or something. But at that size, that's fine. It's not a problem. But and I haven't output this stuff to 4K or anything weird like that. But I don't know why I'd need to. So yeah, it's impressive as shit. I can't believe they nailed it. There's a reason these are on back order forever. I think this is like a genuine hit for Valve, and I'm very happy to have one. So there's that.
Nice.
Sorry that took forever. John.
No.
Hello.
I want to hear about it.
Well, it's good.
Yeah, I want to know what I missed out on.
Well, that's right. Well, whatever. There's a day where you'll end up with one. So
I immediately pre-ordered. So yeah, theoretically, in a year or so, like I'm gonna get another opportunity. It'll be fun.
I think having access to the games now, because it's always like I got to sit at my computer to play this game.
Yeah.
I don't have it on my console and don't have it on a phone.
Right.
So it opens up like just new opportunities for chilling.
Especially certain games that you kind of maybe left and. Or felt like, well, if I'm going to be in front of my computer, I'm going to play a thing that's suited to that more, and you're going to push something like, say, Genesis or Darksiders Genesis to the side. I'm thinking about that one a lot because of how much playtime I got with it this week and how much fun I freaking had. And I realized, well, that's because this thing is so perfectly suited to this format. It would be great on a controller on a TV as well, and that version exists. But my point is, like, I could see myself playing, I don't know, you could play Final Fantasy 14 on this thing in bed. Because that has full controller support.
Yeah. Or just even is this like, oh, I really want to play this game, but maybe I should get out and go to a Starbucks or go to the beach or just get some sunshine. Or now it's like I can do both.
Yeah.
The idea that like I want to play that high end game I really want to play, but also I want to like. I don't know. I got to visit family, maybe, or
sure.
But it's a bit of a drive away. So what am I going to do at my downtime? Maybe I won't go. Maybe I'll just play my video game. Whatever the case may be,
Sure.
You can kind of get both now. So That it is kind of nice.
And I have the 500 gig version, and everything I just told you guys about is only taken up. I mean, some of those games are like 100 gig each. One of them is anyway. I've only taken up. I still have 150 gig or something of space. So tons of room, and you can uninstall, reinstall. Oh, the other thing is I was worried it wouldn't be. Steam's very fast installing games. If you have good internet, it's very quick, as opposed to some of the console networks aren't that great. Right. Steam's always been fast, really fast on here. Like I had games in no time. I just didn't even have to hard to think about it. It's like, 8 gig is all that is. Well, I'll be here in 10 minutes, and then no, it's done in like a minute and a half, 2 minutes on my.
You got gigabyte.
I have gigabit cable, which downloads are really good on. Uploads are salty.
As do I. So it's like that. Like, it's so fun having it's like 80 gigs. Whatever. Be done in like 20 minutes. Like,
you can also stream. I forgot to mention this. If you wanted to just stream stuff from your PC, you could also do that, just like you can other computers. I didn't try that, but I know it's in there. It even said you can stream this if you want. That sort of thing. So anyway, it's really neat. Chat says Scott uses Arch now. You mean RetroArch? That's probably what you mean. Yeah, RetroArch is part of that install that you do at emudeck.com. That has everything you need. So if you're a deck owner and you're hearing all this and going, ooh, I want to get my groove on with the retro, that's all you have to do. Go check it out. So that's where I'm picking up my Pokemon pinball as well. That's very good there. All right, let's move on. Bo or John, you've been playing Bioshock, and you wrote, I have no idea why, and I also have no idea why. What happened there?
I don't know why. I just all of a sudden one night I was like, you know what? I want to hear that weird old timey sounding version of Somewhere Beyond the Sea, and I listened to it, and then I was like, I can play Bioshock again. And so then I installed Bioshock and I started playing Bioshock. You know what? That game is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
The shooting in it is still a little clunky. Like, it's not the best.
Yeah.
It suffers pretty heavily because I wanted to play it with a controller because, like, by default, mouse and keyboard it felt off. And so I was like, fine, I'll just play with a controller. It'll be fine. Like, it's a good game for that anyway. And it is overly generous with the auto aim in a way that I was just like, man, the shooting feels real arbitrary in this game. It's like shoot in their general direction. It's like playing original Doom. Like they're up on a hill and you're shooting straight ahead and they just die. But I really like Bioshock. That game remains very, very good. And I'd kind of forgotten about just how good it was at being atmospheric and like being genuinely creepy and scary at times. Like that game is still very effective at what it does. So yeah, I don't really know why I decided to play it, but I played a little bit of Bioshock. I don't think I'm going to play through the whole thing, but it was fun to get back in and play with the powers and all of that. So
did that make you want to try 2 or what's the Infinite or any of that again, or do you feel like you'll get your fill here with the first game?
I played Infinite again not too long ago, and I think Infinite is also really good. I have a good time with that. 2 I never got into. I should actually try 2 again because I never liked it enough to finish it. There's something about it I didn't love. So maybe I should do that. Maybe I should go back into 2 and give it another go.
Yeah, but I'm curious about that. 2 had mixed reactions, but I guess the DLC for 2 is still like this revered part of the game.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I never played that, and supposedly it had really, really good DLC that like kind of condensed Bioshock into a really like bite-sized chunk in a good way. So yeah, I could check that out at some point.
Sure,
I think that might be fun. I finished Final Fantasy VII. That's another one crossed off. I've now beaten 7 of those suckers. Final Fantasy VII is a real good game. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And it made this whole NFT story really interesting to get to the end of that. Because it also, now we live in an era where Final Fantasy's narrative has continued on, but it has a really kind of interesting ending. Like, it's kind of abrupt. You imagine JRPGs, and I think most of them are known for these big, elongated, like, oh, heroes, you saved our kingdom. Let's have a dance party. Come stand before the king, and we'll talk about how great you are. And, like, you get epilogues of some sort. And Final Fantasy VII isn't like that. It's like, hey, I really hope that the planet decides people get to keep living on it, because that's basically what it comes down to, is like, hey, we're going to activate this thing. We're going to do our part. Like, going back to that whole eco warrior sense, it's like, you're going to do all that you can do. And it's kind of up to the planet beyond this if you guys are going to live or die. And it's like, you do what you can do, and everyone looks at the planet and they're like, it's fighting. And then the game ends. Mm-hmm. And you do get a post-credit scene, but even the post-credit scene is ambiguous enough. Yeah, there's no people in it. Like, you don't see a bunch of people running around, and you see ruins of a city. So it definitely doesn't make it crystal clear of like, hey, this is the way it went. Like, and that's not common for a Final Fantasy game. And I kind of dug it, and I thought it was pretty good. Although, you know, again, we have movies. We know they have canonized what has happened since then.
Sure.
It's not much of a mystery these days, but I had a really good time with it. It's a really solid game, made better, I would say, by having played Final Fantasy VII Remake. And that's the thing that I kind of kept coming back to, is like, movies like Advent Children, playing through Final Fantasy VII Remake. When I started this game, I already cared about these characters a lot more than most people would if they just were picking up the game fresh, not knowing it. And I can't ignore that. Like, I can't pretend I don't have the voice that they've given Barrett in my head when he's giving his big speeches in text form in 7. Yeah. And that makes that character infinitely more likable to me. So, you know, I think Remake definitely helped ingratiate that game to me, but I just had a really wonderful time with it. And
that's awesome.
Again, it's sad that it was on the back of so many people that didn't get paid by Square Enix to make this experience the way it should be. Those mods did amazing work, with some minor exceptions where it made the gameplay way harder in places unintentionally, but you know, kudos to the people who did the mods. Like, that is the experience people should have when they play that game, and it sucks that nothing official has come out in that capacity.
I agree.
That they did amazing work.
Let's let's celebrate by hearing Barrett Wallace for a moment.
Say, funny way to ask for help. Get off! Don't just stand there. Help me out, damn it! I mean, if you need my help. This is coming out of your pay, Merc. Think it's time to bring out the big gun.
So, real quick, I just want to recommend this YouTube video. It is 1 hour, 37 minutes of nonstop, no break Barrett lines.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds about right. That sounds like what he would do if left to his own devices.
Yeah. So if you don't have enough Barrett Wallace in your life, I'm telling you,
he's
all
great. He's kind of low-key my favorite character in that game.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of characters get a lot of attention for standing out. You got Cloud with the big sword. You got Tifa with the big hair. You got, you got Red 13. You got a
Tifa
cool
with
cat.
The big hair.
Yep, that's what everybody knows of her. Mm-hmm. You know, you got Aerith and her whole story. But, like, Barrett has a really great personality throughout and a really great arc as a character, and like more complete than most of them. And I think he is really kind of the heart of that story in a big way.
Yep. Well,
I like him.
I like him too. I like him a lot. He's awesome. And he's really good on a Steam Deck, that guy.
Yeah, so how was that on the Steam Deck?
It ran great. No problem. Yeah. I mentioned it earlier. I didn't get too deep, but I played probably an additional hour and a half. My goal, it went weird because I thought, well, that'll probably be all I play this weekend. And I ended up like spending most of my time on weird little shit I'd forgotten about.
No, you got to take it for a drive. I mean, you get a new piece of hardware. You have all these games. You got to see how it works. It makes sense.
But it was great. And I got to, see Barrett be cool with his kid and, get mad at me. And I hung out in town, did some quests, did a couple of quests, but nothing I didn't do too
Changing
much.
The air filters.
I haven't done, I did that one already. I'm on to whatever's after that.
Okay. So
that air filter
fighting rats, and
that's where you go to get paid. Like there's a bit of, there's some side quest stuff to do before you go and get your money.
Yeah.
So have you gotten your money yet?
No, I'm about to get my money. I think I'm
Have
in
you
those
played
side quests.
darts yet? That's the real.
No,
Yeah.
no, I have
There you
not.
go.
Played darts.
I just
in
don't
the
want to
bar.
spoil things because it's like what happens after. It's like it's sort of shitty, but like story wise, like but it makes sense.
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh no, it picks up. Oh man, there's a real good antagonist too in the area. Anyways, I don't want to say anything, but I'm just looking forward to you meeting this one character that happens somewhat after what you're doing, like on your way to your next main mission.
Yeah.
And I think you're gonna like it.
Well,
I'm just curious to see what your reaction is to that character.
I will definitely.
I know.
You know who I'm
you're
talking. You know what I'm
about.
talking about,
I
right?
didn't at first. I was like, "Who the hell is Bo talking about?"
He's
I know
an
who you're
antagonist,
talking about.
not a friendly PC, but an enemy PC.
Yeah. He's quite a character.
I forgot about him.
Weirdly,
And then I was
not
like,
in
oh,
the
yeah.
original 7.
Yeah. But I'm glad he's. I'm glad he's here.
Even the chat's
saw
like,
him
"Oh, that
too.
guy." Yeah, they seem to have.
Speaking of that guy,
He's got great hair. Great hair.
It's not as good as Cloud's though.
He's got
Just-
great. He's got
just
great
that.
hair. Scott,
Yeah.
don't listen to John.
Okay.
No, it's not as good as Cloud's. Cloud's hair is better.
Right.
So I also played Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, and I was gonna boot that up and maybe do a fresh run on it on stream. I didn't really know what to do, and people said, "Hey, did you ever play the Yuffie DLC for that game?" And I said, "No."
Yeah,
And he
me
said,
neither.
"Well, you should. It's really good." So I loaded it up, and it turns out it's really good.
I gotta play that. I haven't played it. I gotta play it.
They've taken what was an incredibly annoying part of Final Fantasy VII, which was this thing called Fort Condor, which was basically a weird tower defense game that you played, and it was extremely slow and extremely early. And they've put it in this DLC not as a place you go, but as like a quote unquote video game, although it's like a board game mixed with a video game that everybody plays. And it's actually a really fun mini game that they've put in this thing. Like, I genuinely like it and would probably play this game if it was offered as like
an NFT,
maybe even
as an NFT.
It's kind of crazy. Like,
would I play it?
Fort Condor stuff's good.
If I don't like,
I'm looking forward to it.
If I don't like tower defense, would I hate it, or how would I feel?
It's not terrible. It doesn't play exactly like tower defense. It plays like if you scaled down a MOBA to a really stupid degree, because basically you have a base and 2 towers, right? And lanes that are basically like a rock wall. So there's barely any lane to it. It's like it's a wall, but it divides naturally the environment into 3 pathways.
Okay.
And you basically use your action bar. It feels just like in combat, and you can hit multiple meters to spawn units to go and attack the enemy's bases and core. But they're doing the same thing, and then it has a rock, paper, scissors counter mechanic. So like these are ranged fighters, and those are really good against shield units, and shield units are really good against melee units. Melee units are really good against ranged units. So it has this like thing, and it's this race of like, well, you need to spawn the right things to protect your base, but you also want to assault their base. So how much do you let the gauge fill up? What units do you put down? Are you spending it just countering things nonstop? Or are you actually going to get aggressive with it? It's genuinely fun, and it moves at a good clip. So like the games are short. I think like rounds are like less than 2 minutes. Even if you go to a stalemate, it goes off of who's done the most damage or destroyed the most structures. So you don't have to completely destroy the enemy's core to have won. You can destroy a tower, and if they didn't destroy a tower of yours, you win after the time elapses. And you collect new boards, new armies, new units to kind of customize your deck of what you can spawn. Like, it's legitimately a really good like mini game in this thing. I had a good time with it, running around and doing it. And Yuffie is an interesting character to play as. She's like a weird melee ranged hybrid in this game. I definitely am missing having other party members playing as her. Like, I have the exact opposite reaction as when I play Remake. When I'm playing Remake as Cloud, I'm like, I can handle anything until something's out of range, and then I'm like, okay, I need Barrett, I guess. But I begrudgingly will bring Barrett in.
Yeah.
But like Cloud, I feel ready to deal with whatever's coming at me. Yuffie is the exact opposite. I'm like, gosh, I wish I had a party to soak up some of these hits as things like hit you. But it's pretty cool because you can kind of do the God of War thing. Like you throw your little spinning blade out and it'll lock into a position for a while. And then you can cast magic while it's out hitting something and then call it back to you. So she plays really cool. And it's just a neat little DLC. If I have one complaint about it, is I asked my chat this, and they said no, it's something you only launch on its own. It definitely takes place at a point in the story. Like things that have happened in the game have happened, and it's definitely before other things have happened in reaction to that. And yet there is no way to organically play it within the story itself. It is always its own side thing that you launch. And I think that's unfortunate. I wish it would be something where when you hit that point in the story, either you get a prompt, or even if it's like when you start a new game, say, hey, I want to play the full story. Please include the Yuffie stuff in there. I just wish that would be included in it.
Like Mankind or Human Revolution did with the Missing Link DLC.
Yeah.
Like the Missing Link DLC is like traveling between two zones.
Yeah.
All this stuff happens, but in the original game, you just travel. But then you get like 20 hours worth of content in their director's cut, where it's like it's just part of the game. Like you go and you do the boat stuff, which is really awesome.
Yeah, that is a cool. I love that stuff. So but the version of Remake I'm playing, I got on Steam, and that comes with all this, right? Doesn't that DLC included? Okay.
Yeah. The PC stuff is the full deal. Yeah.
Right.
That's why it's called Intergrade, Remake Intergrade.
Oh, Intergrade is the integrated. Oh,
Intergrade is the DLC. Yeah.
It's integrated, but not really. You still launch it separately.
It's a weird choice they made there, but all right.
I mean, I understand it. It's a lot of content, and maybe you don't want that breaking up the flow of the story. Like, it is a very side, like, here's fun activities, here's weird activities, but I feel like it should at least be an option to combine.
Chat room has a point.
2+.
Yeah. Chat room has a point. They think that your minigame you're talking about is basically Clash Royale. It does sound like that's what you described. I don't know if you ever played.
I don't know. I've never played.
You never played it? Okay, so I think it is. It is basically that's what the new WoW game, the WoW-based mobile game is as well. It's a wave, what you described as that game type, which is not a problem. Like the Clash Royale's problem isn't that it's not a good game. It's a fantastic game. It's that it's monetized to hell and back. And probably the WoW game will be the same problem. But the actual core of that is really fun. This sounds like a fun implementation where I'm not having to nickel and dime my way to a win, so that's cool.
No, now in the world of Midgar, like you still probably pay to win, but you're paying at like a different level. It's with Gil, you go out, kill a monster, and get money. It's not like the real world where it's like, oh, you got to go work from 7 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon.
I mean,
to get the money to pay for it.
Gwent in Witcher 3 is pay to win too. Like, try winning games with just the starter deck, right? I think that's not gonna happen.
No,
you gotta go out. You gotta go out and earn those cards. But like, it's fun because it's just part of it's progression.
It's part of the game. It's different than just I pulled my credit card out. I hate that.
Also, I don't want us to have that conversation today, but TCGs are a bit of an exceptional space in my mind. To some degree, but
you've said that before, and I agree with it. Like, I think it can do things because part of the pay to win strategy that you see in a TCG is the exact same one that exists in TCGs that you go buy at a store and take home and open packs, and it's the same. Yeah. It's really just a translation of that same.
There's a level where the expenditure is not that high, where it's fun to see what cool shit you're gonna get.
Yeah.
And what you can trade it for in the secondary market. These video games don't have secondary markets, and that's really the
big difference, yeah. And also, you're not going to run into Post Malone by accident at a Walmart, which happened here a couple of times for some Magic players. He's huge into Magic, and he has a house out here, so he splits between LA and Park City. And somebody walked into this.
He shows up for F&M on Fridays.
He loves it, dude. He's so into it. There's video of him just poking, like walking around kind of nonchalantly in a Walmart trying to find where they had their new shipment of Magic cards, and then got in there and signed a bunch of stuff and bought like 4 boxes of this stuff and left. And
Magic's awesome.
He's into it. Anyway, it sounded like a name drop. It's not. I wasn't there. I just heard about it.
You're like me and
Do you have any other good friends you want us to know about?
Yeah, I should probably tell you more.
Any other celebrity friends?
Yeah.
When I'm not getting calls from my pal Deadmau5, I hang out at the
when he doesn't call, I'm hanging out with John Romero at Software and More, and And then the other thing, John, you downloaded and played as Dusk Falls, which I guess is that Game Pass thing that looked like a weird slideshow, and we all were a little concerned about it. So I'm really curious about this.
I mean, it's exactly what you think it is. It
Okay.
is that kind of animation of we are going from still image to still image with a fade transition, and we're telling a story and you're making decisions. So right away, if that makes you angry and you're sitting there seething, it's not a game for you. But it is a story game. There is, it's got quick time events, it's got choices, it's dialogue choices, it's got choices as far as like what you do in the world to craft a narrative. And I don't know, because I'm only working on my first playthrough of it, I don't know what level of differentiation you can get in a tale. But there's definitely, like, that's the premise, is like, hey, this is the path your decisions put you on. And I have to say, it's very good. I'm having a good time with it. Now, these games give me anxiety because it does a very good job of making you care about these characters.
Yeah.
And things are going to go wrong, and you don't want them to, and you're making the best choices you can. But at the end of the day, things are going to go wrong, and you have to learn to accept the fact that you are going to make really horrible decisions. And that's where I'm at, is making horrible decisions and trying to be okay with it. But it is a compelling story, and I would say I'm not even necessarily to the big hook, because I do believe this game has a bit of a time jump to it. But I'm kind of still seeing what sets everything off, but it's very well voice acted. It is crafting an interesting story that I find compelling. And
how about this art direction?
I'm gonna stick with it.
Is it weird, the art direction? Is it jarring?
I mean, it's exactly what you see. Like, you either find that weird or not. Like, I can imagine some people it is. They are basing it on real people, so I've done a lot of like, where do I know this person from? Because I feel like I've seen a lot of these people, like that shop owner. I'm like, I've seen her in something. Yeah. There's a kid in this that I saw him and I was like, I want to punch that kid in his face. And I was like, why am I so hostile towards this person I just saw? And I think it's because he was in a show or something that I saw, and he was awful in it. Like, not as an actor, as a person, as a character. And it's just, it is ingrained in me that when I see this kid, he is a bad person. So, it's not going to be for everybody. This is either your type of game or it isn't. And that's fine. But if this is the type of game that you can enjoy, from what I've experienced so far, it's a very good one of these.
This looks like a game I would love to sit on the couch with my daughter or my wife or both and actually go through this together. And like, these decisions are like, well, no, don't do that. She'll do this. Like, that feels like a fun co-op kind of, one of those games.
Interactive movie kind of.
It's perfect for that. You can even do extended timers with that in mind. So like, you can go into settings and say, hey, give us a lot more time to make our decisions, because it kind of has two purposes. One is it does have a broadcast mode where your Twitch chat can vote and help make decisions for you. But it also, it can just be a case where, I want to talk it over with my family. We want to make it kind of a family event sort of deal.
Sure.
So it kind of does both things. Like, it has really good, as far as I know, like Twitch integration where you can participate with your chat. But even just for sitting down with family, it seems like a good thing you can do. So I'm very intrigued by it. I'm going to probably play through it, and I wouldn't be surprised if I go and try and watch some other people stream it just to see what sort of differences happen as far as a playthrough. But I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think it's pretty good. Again, it's not going to change anybody's mind.
Right.
If you hate the idea of it, this isn't going to turn you around on it. It's just very solid.
It's a visual novel style choice making deal. Is the game.
And very well acted. Like,
that's important.
I recognize the guy who plays the dad. Not the dad. There's a grandpa at the beginning, and I recognize his voice, but I cannot place where I know him from.
Yeah.
So
from an art style perspective, for those maybe wondering when they've seen screenshots or video of this, it's what they did is they filmed, or they shot the actors still shot or got footage and then still shot or however they did it. But they got these stills and then went in and did these painterly filters on them. So this is not, it looks hand painted, but it isn't. I did a little bit of digging on this. So all these things look like actual like oil paintings or something. They're not. They're touched up photos, but it still has that look of like a painterly effect or whatever, and it's pretty cool. It's neat. I mean, I think the style is actually kind of cool. I just don't know how I'm going to feel about the slideshow effect, which feels like school, you know, a little bit.
Yeah, there's an element of that. But you know, I think about like all those Telltale games, which I enjoyed a lot of those.
Yeah.
It's not like those were really technically impressive ever. In fact, more often than not, it was like, oh, I'm gonna ignore how janky that looked and just keep playing and pretend I didn't notice that Batman slowed down to 2 frames per second to deliver that punch. Or like, oh, that person is just eyes and a mouth for a second. I'm gonna pretend I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
So I mean, to me, like, it's consistent and it's solid, but at the same time, you know, it's definitely jarring. There are times where I'm playing it and I'm just going, what am I looking at? Like, this is a little weird. I'm just watching things transition from one scene to another, and sometimes it works well and sometimes it's a bit much.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, that's interesting. I think I am going to download it and check it out. You also said you play some No Man's Sky with that new update. I almost played the word is it plays insane on the deck, and I meant to, and I just didn't have time to grab it before I left. But have you messed around with it much or seen the update? What's going on?
I played it. I only giving it a quick mention because they did do a big update to it, because I haven't gotten to anything that's necessarily new. The closest thing to something new that I saw is that usually in No Man's Sky, like clockwork, you know that once you leave atmosphere, there's going to be a small asteroid field around a planet when you leave, for like gathering resources purposes. Those are gone. Or at least the first planet that I was on, it's not there. Instead, it's a few asteroids that have, like, you can scan and find more mineral rich ones to target. So it's cleaned up space because as a feature, they've added thicker, denser asteroid fields on the other end of the game.
Okay.
So I think they're trying to make that more of a unique feature. So there isn't one around every single planet you leave. There's definitely a bigger focus on capital ships. I mean, that's what the update basically is for anybody that hasn't checked it out. Like, they want to be a little more Star Trek. So they're making it easier to navigate those ships. They're making the big capital ships more compelling. They're giving you a crew, more stuff you can do on it. Right now I can't speak to any of that stuff because I haven't seen it yet. So it's, you know, it's worth checking out. If you're interested in No Man's Sky, I'm going to probably get in and try it and just sort of see what all is there. But I haven't gotten to any of it yet. Nice.
I'm curious about that. I may try it as well. We can talk more about it more next week. Bo, it's too funny. I noticed one of the games on your list is Dirt Rally 2, which I also play. I played on the deck. I assume you played it in VR.
I played it in VR.
Dirt Rally 2 is my favorite racing game. I don't know if I've mentioned that on the show before.
Oh, good. I have questions.
It's my favorite. I'm sorry. Let me put it this way. It's my favorite serious racing game. I think my favorite racing game series is the Forza Horizon stuff. I think 5 is incredible. 4 was great. Paradise was amazing. Burnout Paradise. Like I generally more am inclined to like a racing game that's not taking itself too seriously. But for those that do take themselves very seriously, rally games are the bomb, and Dirt Rally 2 in particular. Freaking love that game. Anyway.
All right, so what's the deal with the British guy yelling at me the whole time?
So you ever know I don't know if you've ever seen any kind of rally racing of any kind, even when they crash.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
So it's
there's always a British guy.
It's a real sport, and he's not always British, but there's always a guy in the seat next to you, sometimes in the back, depending on the car. And he's got like a clipboard usually. And even like back in the Sega Rally games in the arcade back in the 90s and stuff, this guy is there. And it's part of the sport. So basically his job is like your wingman. You know how snipers will have a sniper spotter that works with the sniper? Yeah. Think of him as that. So he's there going straight, then right, long turn, tight right. Okay, long run, jump, caution, because there's a water thing or whatever. He's basically telling you, here's what we know about the course. I'm letting you know ahead of time where these things are again. you listen to me and I'll make sure you're prepped for everything. And that's also why they put up the icons, like here comes the tight turn, here comes the whatever, and it corresponds with what he's saying. So you can turn that dude off, but it's part of the sport at a very.
I left it on as part of the immersion because, like, I definitely didn't like it, but I think I have to get educated on it. I don't know what hard cut or don't cut, turn left, hairpin.
Yeah, it's a special language
bumpy
kind of
road. I'm like, so this is jargon. I don't know all the jargon. I also don't know how to do anything. Like what the proper thing to do is. I know where the gas is.
These games,
dude. Look, I'm playing in VR, right? And it's like rally. So you have 4 legs of the race. I'm in Germany. Starts at daytime, but your damage carries over between legs of the race.
Oh yeah,
you fix.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
The 4th leg was at night in Germany in the forest, and my headlights are broken.
Yeah.
So it's pitch black.
Yep.
I'm constantly crashing and getting put back on the road.
Yeah.
And I'm in VR, so it's just pitch black. And I'm like, I went into the options and I had to turn the brightness and contrast all the way up and cheat my way to the end because I got frustrated after 20 minutes. I'm like, is this the game? It's just going to let me hang out in the dark and not finish the race?
Yeah.
So that's when the Slender Man found it.
It is very odd, I admit. But the game, this is what I'm saying about
it. It's true to life. If you don't have headlights at night, like that, you're going to end up in a ditch.
Yeah, it takes itself very seriously, and basically it puts you in a position where you may have to retire this race and then go back and regroup, which is all again part of the sport because so much. There's even ways to make the damage even more hardcore. So if you do enough damage to a right front tire, you're going to pull right the entire race, and there's
that's
nothing
happened
you can do
to me too. Though I was pulling right, I'm like. Within 20 seconds of my first race, I'm like, "Oh my god, my car's damaged."
And you can pull that stuff back. You can option it out if you want to, but real rally racing, this is part of kind of the minutia of it. No, basically, the way
sense of competition kept me in that mode.
Yeah, and this is how I feel about rally games in general, and I mean all the way back to like 2D garbage rally games back in the day. The reason I love them, I think they're my version of Dark Souls. And the boss is the road because the road is so unpredictable, and especially in these newer games the physics are so crazy that you really have to just like, okay, I can't hit that corner that way or else I am going to launch and ruin everything. And so there's this precision, tapping the brake, tapping the gas, slow way down, get a good slide going in the mud, but knowing I can't do that on the road, like that's
so this is my question for you, like because I have gameplay questions since you're so good at it.
Well, I don't know if I'm good.
Is like, well, when it says like 3 and turn left, like, does that mean you have to be in the 3rd gear?
So some of that is referring to gears. I don't know if it's 3rd and turn left. I think it's
like it'll say a number and it'll say like 4 left, then 5 turn left or right. You know, like so. I'm like, does it correspond to what gear I'm in to take the turn smoothly?
Yes, if you are in if you're in manual, I
didn't do manuals, but I figure I have to learn manual because it's so hard to match the.
I mean, I wouldn't. You don't need to match to win. Like you can still do really great without matching that stuff perfectly. But yeah, he is there to tell you should probably be in 5th gear at this part of the race. And so if you really want to get crazy, you can do that with a manual transmission. I always do automatic because I'm not that crazy. I think if I had a whole setup,
is handbraking used or is that just there for fun?
Oh, I use it all the time.
Okay, because I like handbrake myself into the stratosphere a few times. It's like, I have no muscle memory on it. I'm just like, it's not Mario Kart. I'm bad at I'm terrible at driving games. Okay, it's like by far my worst genre.
Oh, Robo in the chat's probably correct. He says it's not the gear, it's the severity of the turn. That's a good point.
Right. So, but having that information means like there's something I should do with that information. It's like 5 left. I'm like, I turn and I'm into the rock wall.
Oh, you know what I just realized? You probably don't get in VR. You don't get the indicators on this.
No, you do. You do get the indicators.
You do. Okay.
So I see like that there's a turn severity.
Yeah, it's like red and it's
but
tight.
Like like I know there's hairpin turns, but sometimes it's like hairpin turn, don't cut. I'm like, what's cutting? Like,
I think they mean don't cut. You can't cut the edge of it because it's either a hard wall there, or if you do, you're going to get disqualified or docked because if you run over the cones or whatever's there, you're going to get dinged for that. So there's all that stuff.
Yeah. So like it's just like I feel like I have to watch a YouTube video on how to drive properly because like I've done like 12 races and then so I'm going to stop talking about how much I suck at this game, but like I've done 12 races, and my best placement was 28 out of 30. Like, I most of the time it's 30, and every now and then I get a 28, and I'm like, victory, so sweet. But but I've spent all this money on repairs, and I'm not making any money. Pretty soon, I'm just not gonna be able to fix any of my cars.
Well, plus repairs take time. They cut time off your run. So if you say, "Well,
but like I've been in too many situations without headlights or wheels," I'm just like, I'm very, very, very bad at this game.
How's the immersion though? Like, is it immersive?
But the point of playing it was to get a VR sense of racing, and I got to tell you, man, like, who wants to play a racing game in non-VR after getting into that? Like, even though it's not specifically designed for it, the feeling of being in the countryside, like, yes, it looks like a video game, but I see, I look to the left, like, oh, there's a hot air balloon.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That's awesome. Like, it's just more for the joyride part of just like zooming around, and I don't drive, so I don't get much of the driving experience. It's like, oh, this is what driving's like.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful modern game too. It looks really pretty, and I imagine it's very nice.
I mean, it's a little. I think the fidelity lowers a bit because in VR it needs more juice.
Sure,
like you can't set it up to ultra. It's definitely there's some. Yeah. I think things in VR don't look as high fidelity in VR as they do like on the screen. I'm sure it looks gorgeous on the screen.
Yeah.
But the sensation of movement and is real nice and dry. Like it's just power sliding or handbraking into the turn. Going, you kind of feel like a badass because you're like in there and you can see your feet pushing the gas. You see your hand turning the hand crank and stuff or the handbrake. And shifting gears, like it's really cool. Especially I did a practice race where I turned all the bad stuff on. Like I made it super muddy and made it super rainy. And it's the rain hitting the side, and then your windshield wipers cleaning it off, and you're just like just racing around. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's so much fun. Like definitely, cockpit games are great in VR. Like I think overall, I can say with certainty at this point, like if you're playing a game and you're in a cockpit that doesn't have a lot of the nuance of movement of your arms around, like they work really well. They give you a real sensation.
Yeah, I agree.
So
it also it's
fun.
just they're not only immersive, but they give you a point of reference for movement that the people that get sick in VR tend not to when there's a cockpit because there's like this grounding.
The movement's still limited. You're turning left and right. Yeah. No, I just think it's really a lot of fun to play those games in VR, and I wanted to I downloaded. So the context is Steam is having a VR festival, which means a lot of the games are on sale. So I went, oh shit. I got to try things. Let me look. And I kind of got lost in a rabbit hole. I downloaded like 40 demos. I still haven't gotten through them all because I launched Dirt Rally as my first one. And I planned to play for 30 minutes. And I spent a whole day in there. I was like, racing's fun. Even though it's crashing and sucking, I was like still enjoying immensely the idea of like racing a car. It was like, it was a lot of fun. And so that's, I almost felt like, I was playing with a controller. I imagine controllers ideal over mouse and keyboard.
For sure.
A driving game.
It'd be even
but
better.
I found myself wishing I had
like wheel and stick and all that. Yeah. Oh man.
So like for the full immersion effect, because it would work really well. At least the steering wheel would work really well, right? And that kind of thing. But no, it was a great experience. So I played a lot of that.
Nice. That's awesome to hear. It's too funny. We both played that same game this weekend. But,
that's kind of random. It was on sale too. I got the whole thing for $15 Canadian.
Oh, geez, that's great.
That's part of the sale. So the other game I bought, the big one here, Half-Life Alyx, half off. It's normally $79.99 Canadian. It was down to like $33 or something like that. It was like over half off. Yeah. I took the plunge on the overwhelmingly positive, probably best in slot VR experience that. By reputation, and I'm here to confirm it is awesome. It is like a must play for VR. I've only gotten to chapter 3 of 11 chapters. It feels like, so here's the big thing about VR. I think, having played a lot of it now, I think VR in the far distance isn't that impressive. When you play a game like you play Zelda or Witcher and you look off into the distance, like it looks cool and stuff. VR doesn't enhance too much. You might see the mountains move at different depths and it makes an effect, but it's not really wowing. What's really wowing is what's like within, a few feet of you. Like you get really close to things. Most VR games don't have a lot of fidelity to them in that close space or a lot to do. Like it still has movement and sensational things, but Half-Life Alyx is really rich in sensory experience, even though it's a crappy post-apocalyptic one. Like you'll walk into I walked into a room and I found a floppy disk, and I picked it up and it was like 50 games for $5 or something on there. And then Russell, who's the guy in your ear, he's the man in the chair in this game, is like, "Oh yeah, I remember those back in the old world. We used to have a thing called the internet, and we would play these games on our computers, like, because we're in some other realm, and he apparently downloaded the internet into this new realm, and there's this whole deal about this floppy disk you pick up. You don't do anything with it, but there's a lot of like just junk to pick up. There's a little camera with a hand crank, there's VHS tapes, there's all kinds of little shit in the world that like you make it a rich VR experience that you don't have in any other game so far that I've played.
Sure.
And I love it. You can play this game seated. So there's a crouch and stand button, so you can do the stand up walk around, which I get lazy and don't always want to do. This you can play perfectly seated, you can smooth control and then aim your gun. The gun aiming, first of all, the hand mechanics. So you get these things called Russells, which is named after Russell, the NPC that you're going to get to know.
Sure.
But the Russells, they have like they're telekinetic hands. So you can flick things to you like Jedi Force style, but it's like science, like Half-Life science. So you target something and then you flick it and then you catch it. So all the pickups, you don't have to get down on the ground, pick it up. Let me just pick this up. Like Battle Sister was like that shit. My ammo's on the ground. I gotta like lean over and find the ammo and pick it up. This is just like bloop. You use science to flick it and then catch it and then throw it in your backpack. And then when it's time to change your weapon, you take your ammo and you clip it in. And it has all this button presses that make it satisfying to change your clip out. And then you have this multi-tool, and multi-tool opens up these cool puzzles that are 3D, and you got to move these energy beams around to unlock things. And I met the head crabs, folks. They're scary as shit. I literally had a heart attack at one point because the way they introduce head crabs is you think you see something, and the guy's like, "What was that?" And you're like, "Wait, what? There's something here?" And you hear the little squeaking of the head crabs. And they're hiding in these little boxes. And so you're getting used to picking up items on things and moving boxes around, moving corpses around. Sometimes you move like these corpses. You have to grab the corpses and get them out of the way.
Yeah.
And then, a little box moves. And oh, shit, it's a head crab. And it's basically like a Resident Evil, experience in that moment. They're typical of Half-Life games. That's really immersive. I cannot recommend this game enough. I've barely gotten through it. But the world, like there are these it feels lived in, like you're making plans, right? So you actually look at a chalkboard and it has a bunch of plans on it, and it's not just some generic art. Like someone went through great trouble to make like something unique, these like alien sketches and stuff like that. And I met a Vortigern when I ended it, and the Vortigern in 3D space is awesome, dude. Like you can stand right up next to it and see this one eyeball guy just going blah. It's the Alyx, I need you to help me. I don't have my brain. So he just talks in this really crazy alien way, and you're like, he's right in front of me, this Vortigern. Like they did such a phenomenal job out of any of the VR experiences I've had that I'm just like, oh shit, this is amazing. And what's just so sad about it, because we're in a state where it's something cool, you can share it. And like if you stream it or watch the video, you do not get the sensation of having it in 3D space at all. But it hits so good, and the controls feel like this is worth the $80. If you were to spend $80, you were like, even at 3 levels, I'm like, I'm getting a full price, loved, well-made game. It is so good. And the shooting's good. You can upgrade the weapons. I've only got one gun, and I'm in love with it. And I'm just like, I can't wait to see what else is in this game. And the areas are legit creepy. I'm like, oh, there's the head crab guys, the zombie ones, where they're already on the guy's head and they're lumbering around, and they're just so like they smash the windows, and you can smash the windows and shoot through the windows. Like the environment has a lot of immersive, emergent sort of stuff in it. And
is Alyx voiced or is she silent protagonist?
She's voiced, yeah. So you'll be chatting with Russell, and the plot is Eli Vance you guys all get kidnapped by the Combine. You break out. Russell breaks you out, but Russell's such a great character because Alyx would be like, "Oh, you saved me, but you didn't save my dad." And he's like, "Well, you guys were in trucks that didn't have windows. I was trying to save your dad, but well, looks like I saved you." So That's what's happened. And you're like, okay. And he like, to give you your gun, he's like, you're going to need a gun. Don't worry, it's empty. And he throws it, and then it hits the car, and a shot rings out. And he's like, now it's empty. It's empty now. Like, he's just such a harebrained wizard engineer. Yeah, this is one of the first rooms when you're starting to like first get the plot in here. Now, the levels are small, but it's okay because you're spending a lot of time in them, like just enriched in the world. Like, it isn't like a first-person shooter on a console where you're racing through it, so you end up, it's like I didn't even look at that poster. There's a missing cat, Beatrice. Like, there's so much detail. The 10 Commandments of the laundry room. I didn't look at any of this stuff in this room that you're showing, by the way, on the live stream. I'm like, I have to go back and play again and just look at stuff.
Sure is pretty. My gosh.
Door handles work the way you expect. You have to hold them. You can even close them when there's like a combine. I'm like, oh shit, let me close the door a little bit. Hopefully they don't see me. People look 3D, the voice act. It's a Valve quality game for sure, like 100%.
Do you ever run?
I don't know if I tell somebody like rush out and buy a $3,000 PC and then get a headset and go ahead and play it.
Yeah.
But if you find yourself there or part of the way there, then you should definitely do it, right? Like, it is a good ass experience. So I'm really looking forward to spending more time in this game. It's just
play it.
It is a bit stressful. Like, it is actually a tense game. I would put it on a like a Resident Evil adjacent, like, oh, where's the freaking head crabs?
Well,
like, I don't want to. I still don't know what it's like to have one land on my head, and I.
That's why I've held off. I'm, you know how I am. I'm terrified of scary video games, so I've been holding off on. I actually have it in my library. I just haven't launched it because I'm scared.
I think it's just like with Half-Life games, there's that stretch where the head crabs are stressful, and I think it's going to transition to Combine stuff and be less stressful. It's just. The head crabs are particularly gross, Do
you ever run into Gordon Freeman? Is he ever around?
No, not yet. But I've seen a Vortigern like alien sketching that looks like it's there's a weird figure with a crowbar, and I'm like, clearly they're prophesizing Gordon. So it takes place 5 years before the appearance of Gordon Freeman. I think it's 5 years before.
Oh, weird.
So it's sort of a prequel. So I've seen a bit of that, but no. Right now the plot is you're saving your dad, Eli Vance, as Alyx. And,
interesting.
Oh, and those floating what do they call them? The floating cameras that go and
drone
examine
things,
people.
Yeah.
So on Twitter, there's like those robot dogs with the shotgun on them. The video been going around.
Yeah.
I'm like, I immediately thought of these things. We're not living. That's not like science. This is like a science fiction game, and I'm like, oh no, these exist now. This isn't science fiction. Like. We have drones that you can pop a camera on. All we need is like a two-way. We need a center filled with a police force, and those drones can go around and be like, "Sir, you've just jaywalked. It'll be a $40 fine, please." Like it's. I'm like, this isn't science fiction. It's so chilling to be in first-person view and looking at those things. It is. I've loved this experience so far. So big
high praise.
And I'm going to be playing more.
Yeah, high praise. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and even just the movement works really good. It takes a little bit to get used to some of the controls, but overall, sick game. Probably the best game I've played this year, honestly. So far.
Okay.
I like this a lot. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's it for the big news of my gaming week. I did get in and start playing Bayonetta because Bayonetta 3 is coming out, and I'm kind of hyped.
Yeah.
And that game's it's dated graphically a little bit, like it's low res, low poly, but it is pretty fun. There's like a lot of like Mortal Kombat style combo moves, I guess, in it where you can do lots of different things, and it's just nuts. Like, you punch through a portal, and this big dragon made out of your hair comes out and kills the boss. It's really great. I like that game. So far, I'm liking that game quite a bit. The plot is also nonsense and all over the place. Your sidekick is basically a penguin-looking Joe Pesci guy. He's like, "Hey, I'm Italian," and he just does all the most cheesiest Italian like gangster like tropes. Like, we're gonna put one of theirs in the mug, like he's just so stereotyped. Like it's almost like distasteful.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Bayonetta is actually, so far I'm really enjoying playing that game. It's kind of sort of easy, but it's a fun experience.
That's great.
Played that this week, played some Heroes, got my Zero Tool on, having fun with that.
Oh,
got back into Hades, pushed it up to heat level 19 or I think 19. I had a good
Jeez.
time in Hades. I went to play one run and I ended up playing 2 days. I got lost in that game.
Hades will do that to you. That game's
Hades
so
is
good.
it's so much fun to play that game, man.
Make that my game of the year every year.
Yeah.
Just
So
Hades
I played
all the
some
time.
Hades, but the big thing was I got really sidetracked with the Steam VR sale. So I have 40 demos. I don't know when I'm gonna get to them all, but I was about to blow my pocket out, and then I remember Scott saying, "Don't blow all your money on cocaine and hookers." And I was like, "Okay, I should probably just download demos." So I'm like, "Let's download demos."
Yeah.
And there's a lot of sweet demos waiting on my hard disk for me to try, but both Alyx and Dirt Rally kind of just sucked up all my time in the VR headset. They're
That's
both really
great. I love it. You're making me want to play these things. Alyx scares me though.
I mean, Alyx is the highlight of the week for sure. I don't know why I was trepidatious, because like VR games, it's like VR games are kind of like, a lot of it is the novelty of being in VR, right? You're like, they're not as great at games as you could get on your flat screen necessarily. So how much does the novelty outweigh playing on the flat screen? But Alyx is like, oh no, this is a kick-ass VR game. I am immersed in a fictional narrative and just feel really involved in what's going on. Just even opening doors, like you have to get into this quarantine zone. Unlocking the doors is huge metal. Oh, and like the health pods. I didn't realize this, but there's like a weird worm in the health pods.
Oh.
And so when you go to heal, the worm, which is alive, gets squeezed, all the juice, and then it dies. It gets squeezed out of it, and the juice is what heals you. But in VR, you're like, what's in here? And then to unlock a door, there's like there are these worms that are also desiccated, but like it's like an old door, so like rats have got in there and died. And there's like human teeth in there for some reason, and I'm like, I gotta rotate these things to open the door, but there's all this gross shit in the mechanism. I'm like,
Weird.
like it's really good. Alyx is like 10 on 10, deserves its overwhelmingly positive. It is probably the best thing you can do on VR, game wise.
Yeah, it seems like they've set the standard with this thing in terms of narrative games. Nobody's come close to censor before.
So far, loving the shit out of it. The other thing gaming wise I did was I finally got that last achievement in Banished, so I'm now 100%ed Banished.
100% banished. I forgot. When I first saw this, I'm like, banished. Wait. Oh yeah, it's that ancient city builder Bo has played forever.
It's my favorite city builder game of all time, and there's one more I'm just sad I don't have more to do. That game, I think that software developer has just gone AWOL. I don't think he's making another game. Like, there's this one game, and it's great, and I love it, and I got the last of the achievements.
Nice,
so,
well done. That's great. It's always good to go back to your stuff that you haven't finished. Nothing wrong with that. All right, well, that's what we played. Big, meaty show today, everybody. Meaty.
One last thing before we
go ahead.
I know it's gone long, but the show has in fact gone so long, and I saw that you retweeted this, that we have an update on Marvel Snap that literally happened while we were doing the show.
Yeah.
Maybe we just stream 24 hours a day. So
we'll just keep up with these changes.
Everyone up to date.
Yeah.
But basically, in regards to it, because we have a post from Ben Brode saying, earlier this week, we shipped the latest release of Marvel Snap to players and launched in New Zealand and Australia. With that release comes new monetization feature we wanted to introduce and test, Nexus events. It's clear that a lot of you are disappointed with Nexus events, and we hear you. We missed the mark on this. Internally, we're having discussions around next steps and how we can act on your feedback. We're here for the long run and focused on creating a great game that is fair and that you'll love. Stay tuned to hear more from us.
All right. So no immediate decision, but you know.
Yeah, I'm saying this because people will tell us, but a couple quick thoughts. That doesn't do anything for the people that you tested this on, that gave you their hard-earned money.
Yeah.
I'm sure they really appreciate being a test audience for a monetization feature. And two, is not a commitment of any kind to any actual change. So, but for the people that were going to write to us and go, Ben Brode addressed this, we know. We
just read it.
I'm curious what they will actually do.
Yep.
Oh, we'll cover it next week, guys.
Yeah, we'll see next week how things go, and we'll hear about somebody.
I like Ben, and
I like.
I want to play. I want to play Marvel Snap. So
no, Ben's a good guy. That's the thing I know for sure about all of these things, including Wyatt Chang with Diablo Immortal. These are good dudes who want to make a good game. They're at a place where that's their job. and that some of these other implementations don't actually come from them. I don't want to throw them under the bus necessarily. I don't know for sure. That for all I know, they're all sitting around conniving, but I know they're good people who want to make a cool game. So, we'll take them at their word.
That's the tough thing when they're out there being the community leader, but someone else is making the shit decisions, and they're the ones that get.
Yeah, they get drug in.
Get
with
that
it.
energy,
It bums
right?
me
Like,
out.
the actual people should come out publicly and own their decisions instead of throwing those people under the bus, if that's the case.
Good way of putting it. Exactly. All right. That is going to do it for today's very long show. We hope you enjoyed it, though. I know I did. I had a great time tonight. And probably will, after I post the show, I will eat, and then I'm going to go lay in bed with a Steam Deck on my chest. So that'll be good.
Need a Steam Dick.
Yeah, Steam Deck.
I just conjured up. Okay.
I better put a Steam Deck on my chest. Thank you.
Steam Deck on your chest.
Yes, indeed.
Yep.
But in the meantime, I'd like to encourage all of you at home who like our content to go and support us over at patreon.com/core show. Many have and many still will. May you be one of them? Probably. You just have to go check it out and read about the benefits and hop in. That's patreon.com/core show. How else is Bo going to buy his next VR game? Right? Get in there. Get that done. Frogpants.com/core is our website. Talktothecore@gmail.com is our email address. And if you'd like to follow us all on Twitter, you can find Bo at Bo Schwartz, John_Jagger. I'm at Scott Johnson. And the show is at Core Pod. If you want to watch us live, we're here every Thursday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time at twitch.tv/frogpants. Hey, John. It's kind of a beast, but do you want to, old lady, sum up what we played?
There are too many games to discuss. I will simply say this and leave you all with this. With the amount of games Scott has tried this week on the Steam Deck, it really puts him in an upper echelon of knowledge and experience with the Steam Deck. What we like to call around here an upper decker.
I like what you did. Okay, well, here's a substitute for your voice. Here.
Are you two heading for Las Vegas?
All right, may as well be John. That is going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening. We hope you have something fun to play this week in between now and the next time we meet. But that'll be soon. So we'll see you next week. Have a fantastic one. Bye now.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
My money's on Lucifer.
Oh, by the way, those clips are from that Darksiders